Reveille.
Look at us now. Tip.
Ooh, Jesus.
Oh.
Shout out to Morning Kombat.
Do you want a margarita?
Yes! My God! To us, doing what we love. It's time to bang. Oh, yeah. The UFC has a new broadcasting home for the next 7 years, and Morning Kombat is here to break it down. Monday, August 11th, 2025. Welcome on in. I am the freshly dyed hair of Brian Campbell here. I just got younger. Wow. Next to me is gray and old balls Luke Thomas, and we are here for a fantastic Monday morning show. Remote, but still on fire and in your absolute face hole as Morning Kombat brings it to you. Welcome on in, Luke Thomas. Certainly massive breaking news that we're going to get to in full detail in a few seconds, but how the heck are you outside of that? You had a weekend away with the fam. You got a little tan?
Yeah, I got a little tan. I had a dude. We were texting about it the other day. You know, sometimes you have vacations and they go great, and sometimes they don't go well, and it can be a mix. This year, man, because I didn't take much of a vacation last year. Well, that's not quite true, but I didn't spend. My family took one vacation without me because that was the same weekend that we had UFC 300 and Garcia Haney. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't get to spend a lot of time with them when I wanted to, and this time I did, and it was amazing. I do want to say one more thing too, man. Tuki is 6 now, and you know when it's gonna sound a little weird, right? But like I didn't know how to play with kids when I had her because I never had kids prior. I never had like cousins that I play with all that much. And, you know, I didn't know what it meant to have fun with your kid on the kid's terms all that well. Well, now I do. And it is, dude, it's joy beyond joy. It is the best thing ever. So I had a great time.
Hey, I love when your heart is joyful, Luke. It's always good to be a kid again. It's always good, by the way, as well, to support this show by liking us on YouTube, by subscribing, by following our social channels and our extended YouTube personal channels in the MK universe. Welcome to everybody watching on the DraftKings Network, live on YouTube, or maybe podcast only in your ear hole. I also want to tell you about some merch. I'm fresh off of CBS Sports HQ, so I'm dressed nicer than normal, but you know I'd be wearing something from morningkombat.shop and our August exclusives brought to you by Average Joe Art. How about the MK Beavis and Butthead shirt? How about vaping is for closers? And of course, our autographed posters, this month's exclusive, Super Wash Dads. And oh, by the way, I'm told just 5 signed posters remaining. These things are hot and flying off the shelves over there. They'll last until they last, folks. Your August exclusives are right there. Go to morningkombat.shop. Right now, we've also obviously got some evergreen shirts, hats, some other stuff you can check out. Outfit your children today because MK, like Wu-Tang, is for the children.
Niños.
Yeah, there you go. Let's say hi quickly to the third member of our team, a producer, a director, the son of an Australian. He's a podcaster as well on the Main Card Minute, Mr. Luke Long Island Nocita.
What's up, boys? Yo, mystery bet hit again this weekend. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez by sub over 3.5 rounds plus 800. This is the 4th time in a month that the mystery bet is hit during the stream. So
has that ever happened before?
Yeah, dude, it's 14 and 75 lifetime. I've placed almost 90 mystery bets, and it's up like 25 units because the ones that hit are so juicy. It's awesome.
Sick.
You called it a sub. I called it a meta. All right, up with Fluffy, down with Georgia there. Wow, what a main event on Saturday that, of course, we are going to get into in a big way. Big fans of you guys. Thank you for prioritizing to be here with us on MK. LT, what else did I want to say this morning? Anything else?
I don't know. You definitely did get younger with the hair dye job. You know what I mean? Well, how much younger could I get? 5 years?
A lot, especially if you do it right. So I usually put the Just for Men in for like 10 minutes and it doesn't do much. My wife's like, no, you got to go 30. And look at the difference. I mean, it's been sitting on my counter for about 2 months, but I finally had a reason, like Hoobastank, to turn this around. You know what I mean?
By the way, on the drive to the beach, we put on Spotify 90s hits, 90s. Brother, a lot of Seven Mary 3, a lot of Gin Blossoms. Brother, we were rocking out like some honkies.
Yeah, very cumbersome of you, Luke. I like that.
Cumbersome.
To have it to blah, 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 blah. There we go. All right. I know I had something else. I know what it is, folks. No Friday episode this week, but this Thursday, live, 11 a.m. Eastern from Meadowlark Studios in Manhattan and live on YouTube, of course. Morning Combat presents UFC 319 pregame preview. Yeah, real talk like men do as we get you ready for DDP versus Hamzat and the top to bottom pay-per-view from Chicago. It's LT, it's BC, the LIL behind the window. But Luke Thomas, we have a celebrity third man coming in for this show. Who we got? We got UFC Hammer, Matt Frivola. By the way, former guest on our Room Service Diary series. There you go.
And we brought him back because we needed someone who could deliver the boom. And we feel like, also, I mean, here's the reality. You got to book a fighter, right, who can have a little bit of fun. And I feel like he connects all those dots for us, right?
He does connect all those dots for us. You said he brings the boom just like Big Justice and AJ, Luke. Okay, but he's also a new father. He represents Long Island. I think Long Island, Luke, doesn't he live in your damn town? Can't you just pick him up on the way in?
I was going to say that's the reason we got him, because my car's broken down. I need a ride to the studio.
There it is.
Shout out
there
Frivola.
it is. So shout out to Frivola. He did survive that fight against BSD. It was vicious, Luke. I won't bring that up on Thursday, or maybe a few times. You never know.
Yeah, it was very vicious. But you know what? He's also delivered some knockouts himself. So we got to,
Very true. He's a game fighter. All right. We got 5 topics for you. We got, have you seen this shit, and your DM still to come. But breaking news right off the top. Do we have any jingle or song to hit that up with, please? This just into the MK newsroom. Hey, guys, seriously, 2026, the new broadcasting deal for UFC is a record-breaking, massive one. UFC signs an exclusive deal with Paramount to air 13 premium live events, don't call them pay-per-views, and 30 fight night cards live on Paramount Plus, with the potential future of some live streaming on CBS as well. And when you want to talk about money, how long did say we are looking for $1 billion per year? They're going to get a little more of that, as this 7-year deal will cost upwards of $7.7 billion, a massive deal. Now, this also brings to the end, for the first time since UFC launched in 1993, the idea of pay-for-play, pay-per-view, as in this deal, Paramount also reported they will not raise the prices on their streaming service. I think it's $12.99 or $8.99 with ads. You get everything the UFC is offering. No Netflix, no ESPN, and this certainly on this Monday morning was a monster surprise in terms of breaking news. Luke Thomas, first and foremost, what does this mean to the sport, to the fans, to the fighters, to everything following such a surprise curveball in the UFC rights negotiation?
Well, we have to unpack those piece by piece, because I don't think they mean the same thing for every entity. But let's just start with who we are as fans. And I don't know how getting rid of pay-per-view and putting everything under, I mean, everything's kind of already under one umbrella, but the basic idea is everything under one umbrella and getting rid of pay-per-view. I mean, the pay-per-view is how the UFC was birthed.
Sure.
In 1993. It is how it has made, I mean, if you grew up in the, a pre and certainly the post Ultimate Fighter era, pay-per-view was everything. It was the dominant way in which they made money. It certainly is. The numbered events are still marquee events, obviously. That hasn't changed necessarily, but it's been the linchpin of that business for basically as long as it's been around, perhaps up until recently. But the costs have obviously been a lot. And as we know, UFC is not the only combat sports game in town. Boxing is in pay-per-view. BKFC is in pay-per-view, and all the different, Misfits boxing and everything else. All these different things are, for the most part, in one way or the other, often behind pay-per-view, not exclusively, but often. And it just becomes overwhelming, and piracy has become itself, as a consequence, overwhelming. It was always a problem, but I think now it's been a different level. BC, we have this fresh quote. This came to us, by the way, from TKO Chief Operating Officer Mark Shapiro. Quote, "The pay-per-view model is a thing of the past," he writes. "What's on pay-per-view anymore? Boxing? Movies on DirecTV? It's an outdated, antiquated model. So it was paramount to us, forgive the pun, where it's one-stop shopping, especially for our younger fans in flyover states. Nice to call it flyover states. When they find out, wait, if I just sign up for Paramount Plus for $12.99 a month, I'm going to automatically get UFC's numbered fights and the rest of the portfolio. That's a message we want to amplify. It's on this level alone, BC, on this level alone, the end of pay-per-view is a monster W for, I think, the fans. And I kept paying pay-per-view. I know a lot of folks didn't. There was one time I certainly had to pirate when the UFC 301 was a mess behind ESPN Plus's paywall. I'm sure everyone on some level has pirated now and again, which speaks to that point. But not having to pay extra beyond what you had to pay for ESPN Plus, because remember, you had to pay that subscription fee plus what it cost on that end to do it. Now, I do have a question about that, though, BC, which is, obviously, Paramount and CBS are a bigger company than DAZN. DAZN is a minor entity relative to that. But I do recall DAZN getting into the market saying, we're done with pay-per-view. That's it. And then, a year or two passes and you got to pay for a pay-per-view even on top of what you get for DAZN. Could there be a world, BC, where they realize, this doesn't make a lot of sense? Because as our intrepid producer pointed out, this deal is worth $7.7 billion. As it stands today, Paramount's market cap is $6.6 billion. So the deal is worth more than the company itself. Now, of course, you're saying, well, yeah, they're making a bet that they'll make on the back end, through the life of this deal, than they will, paying essentially upfront for it. Yeah, fine. I'm sure that's the gamble that they're making. But if you just do the math, and again, not all events are created equal, they're getting basically $25 million an event. That's the average. Wow. $25 million an event. Wow. Are you going to make all that back on viewers and sponsorship from what you sell on CBS and linear or on digital ads? Again, I don't know the answer to that. It's huge, but that's Paramount's problem to figure out. Sure. That's the executives. On the consumer side, massive W.
No doubt. And look, this is a major splash for David Ellison of Skydance, fresh off of the merger to acquire Paramount from the Redstones. And this, like you said, is really, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's about putting Paramount Plus in a huge way on the map in the streaming wars. And they're certainly going to raise the the image of that, the reputation of that in such a big way of this. And you just look at it as the ESPN deal, which will end at the end of this calendar year. That was 5 years, $1.5 billion. This is 7 years, $7.7 billion. So it'll be $1.1 billion per year. Now, as it stands right now, this is just the United States that this covers for UFC event, or maybe North America. I'm not officially sure. But one thing that was interesting in the CNBC story that was part of the breaking news of this is that Paramount is interested in buying UFC's international rights to pair with the US rights. The company said in a statement, Paramount will have a 30-day exclusive negotiating window for each country's rights when they're up for renewal, which is something Mark Shapiro said in the CNBC story. So that's showing you that Paramount is not just in for a little bit, they're all in. And Luke, we got to give credit to people, as you did on Twitter, like the MMA Draw, Kid Nate over there, Zach Arnold. They were ahead of the game in saying that Paramount was in these negotiations when everybody else was. But I think a lot of us thought it would be a portion of the deal, or maybe they're using one company to raise the price. Dude, this was fairly shocking to wake up to on this Monday morning as a CBS Paramount employee to see that they've got the full boat moving forward. So I think I said it earlier. It's 13 PLEs. It's 30 fight nights. No word yet on where Dana White's Contender Series is going to go, on where Zuffa Boxing is going to go. Chris Mannix of Sports Illustrated did report, according to a source in TKO, that those are going to be separate deals that they're still looking to make moving forward. But for the UFC, for TKO, for Paramount even, this is so massive. This is so record-breaking. Luke, do you think that we really have a chance of elevating the sport with this deal? And I say that cautiously because the UFC being on ESPN was massive for exposure, having SportsCenter lead with it, having, the desk on the ground out there. But now you're eliminating pay-per-view, which I really do think is the biggest aspect of this news, along with the selling number, the price that it took to get there. But do you see this as being a potential bridge to the casual fans to really push the UFC brand and the sport moving forward?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, that's a little harder for me to say. I mean, okay, so I actually think that's one of the more important questions. It's like people are like, oh, and we'll talk about the fighter pay component because I do think that's a big one, right? If for no other reason than they just can't literally do it the way that they used to do it, right? There's no more pay-per-view points unless they tie it to ratings. But anyway, separate conversation. How big is it to be on CBS? Obviously a very big deal. I mean, dude, CBS has had a really interesting history with MMA. That the Strikeforce Nashville brawl took place on CBS, and now they're in the 1.1 annually billion-dollar business, I should say, with the Ultimate Fighting Championship. It's a big network, but that's only for, as I understand it, let me pull up the press release, BC, because I read this earlier and I was like, am I imagining this? I don't know that I am. Here's what it says on the press release. Starting in 2026, Paramount will exclusively distribute UFC's full slate of 13 marquee numbered events and 30 fight nights via its direct-to-consumer streaming platform, Paramount Plus, with select numbered events to be simulcast on CBS. They're not even saying all the numbered events are going on CBS, BC. They're saying some of the numbered events.
Yep.
Can you really beat ESPN's mainstream casual fan exposure on Paramount? You can definitely do it on CBS. Yes. Can you do it on Paramount Plus? I don't think the answer to that is yes. And they're saying that some of the numbered events, what we now commonly understand as pay-per-view, are going to be aired there. So I don't like, it seems to me that the big play here is Paramount wants Paramount Plus to be bigger than it is. You can get some NFL games on there. I already have a subscription. I already watch Champions League on there. They're trying to get something that is seasonal, or sorry, I should say not seasonal. It's year round. And which, UFC fans are very, very loyal to UFC, at least historically speaking. They're trying to raise the profile. But are you going to a place, if you're UFC, that already has a bigger profile? Well, for CBS, sure, I can buy that. For everything else, I don't think the answer today, right now, is yes. Let's see if they can grow the pie to maybe change that equation.
Dana White will be on CBS Sports HQ, by the way, today at 3 p.m. Eastern time to talk about that more. Crazy because so many of us thought that Netflix was going to be a big part of this deal, that they were going to continue the recent trend of major big boxing events and not signing an exclusive deal with a promoter, but being in a situation to potentially do 6 to 8 UFC pay-per-views. I hope, for what you just said, that CBS will end up simulcasting, a few of these really big shows to help that push across there. But Luke, this is very interesting for TKO's continued really takeover of the sports business, media and broadcasting rights environment here, because if you're a WWE fan, you previously paid a subscription for the WWE network to get everything. Then that moved to Peacock. And if you subscribe to Peacock, you got all the pay-per-views or PLEs, what have you. Now, WWE and TKO just signed that massive deal with ESPN where you now have to pay the ESPN Plus subscription. And then additionally, you have to pay for pay-per-views, basically. It's like a reverse of where the model was for the last 11 years. And now you've got UFC flipping that around completely. So definitely MMA fans are going to win big here, because you have to believe that Paramount could have jacked up their subscription price, and maybe over time it will grow like ESPN Plus did. But first and foremost, Luke, I got to get your reaction to not needing ESPN Plus anymore after you feuded with that streaming service for years. And I do want to get your reaction at Netflix not being a part of this.
Well, I mean, I was sitting here puffing my chest out on Twitter being like, I can't wait to cancel my subscription. But then I thought about it. I'm not so sure that I can right away. So let's talk about that. First of all, we don't know where Road to UFC, not that I watch The Ultimate Fighter, but I'm curious to see where it ends up. But certainly one thing that would be of interest to me is Contender Series.
Sure.
So just those 3 alone, like, do they go to Fight Pass? Are they also going to be on Paramount for an additional amount of money? Or are they just going to throw in with a deal later? Or are those properties staying on ESPN Plus? I don't know the answer to that. More to the point, BC, what about PFL here? Now, if you're PFL, you got a question you got to ask yourself. Is it better that UFC is gone, because you could say to yourself, well, now we are the only MMA game in town, and we're going to be obviously much less costly than UFC, and maybe there's a deliverable there that they like. On the other hand, if you're ESPN and you're out of the UFC business, why do you want to stay in the MMA business? So like there's a real question there about what's going to happen. Plus, Chris Mannix reported earlier today that this has nothing to do with the TKO boxing deal. So if you're TKO, you already have, starting in, I guess, 2026, as you indicated, WWE going over there, right? Maybe Contender Series and some other properties stay over there. And it's possible that TKO boxing, or sorry, Zuffa boxing ends up back over there. In which case, I don't know that you can readily just get rid of it right away. I think there's a question for it. But, BC, if I don't have to pay $80 freaking every month, you know, it makes it a lot more tolerable long term, even if I recognize that the ESPN Plus service sucks the backside of my balls. You know what I'm saying?
Your pelotas. Yeah. What do you make of Netflix not jumping in after looking like they were going to be the premier carrier of the biggest fights?
I don't know what to make of that. I think we need some additional reporting. Like, it was weird that they were everyone who was talking to people on the inside of the story was like, okay, it's going to be some ESPN Netflix arrangement. I think we even said that on Friday's show. That seems like that's the closest arrangement. We had known from the MMA Draws reporting and some other places that that, you know, Paramount was an outside player, but we didn't know, like, you know, that the equation had changed so substantially. I don't know what it says about Netflix, BC. I mean, they're still in the WWE business, right? And they're going to be, I guess, for a little while longer on some level, the Jake Paul business. So it's not like they're out of combat sports.
Well, they're in the Raw business in the U.S., and then
Yes.
Netflix has the full WWE package internationally.
Internationally. Okay, fair enough. But I guess what I would say to that is it's hard for me to not notice that they had this momentum for a deal they were building, and that it all got blown up with some kind of turkey getting sideways with the female Netflix executive, and then nothing was really ever the same after that exactly. So I don't know. I mean, who knows? Could Contender Series end up on there? I seriously doubt it. I think they're looking for more marquee stuff, but it's just funny, dude. Like you think it's good, dude. Never forget. Before the UFC signed with Fox, Dana White put out a video on the UFC's YouTube channel saying, folks may not remember this. I remember this very distinctly, saying that the UFC was going to sign a deal with ESPN and it was going to change the face of the future of MMA forever. And then they didn't sign one. They actually went instead and signed with Fox Sports. Like, there's always these last minute, you know, direction changes that can come out of nowhere. And besides, man, like, based on what the numbers we were hearing, 1.1 billion versus what I was hearing and reading was, you know, 700 to 800 million annually for what they were looking at between all the different properties for ESPN. I mean, dude, it's a no-brainer. I mean, how do you turn down $1.1 billion annually? That's such an enormous sum of money that you don't have to share with the fighters. Like, how do you turn that down? It's a game-changing amount of money.
I mean, no word yet on what this means for the fighters, but loss of pay-per-view points, pay is probably stagnant moving forward, right?
Well, I mean, let's talk about the pay component, because I don't know what to say here. I think that two things I would say. First, if you're a UFC entrant, or, you know, you make 50 to, you know, 200K-ish somewhere in there for a fight, I don't think this deal affects the way you get paid at all, right? I mean, again, we'll have to see long term. I don't know, but right away, nothing strikes me. The question that is more interesting to me is the high end. I think that's where I'm like, what does this mean? Now, someone might noticeably say, well, weren't pay-per-view buys so down that A, the UFC just got rid of them, and B, it wasn't. So for folks who don't know how pay-per-view points works, they can change this up per deal. But let me give you an example of how it works. It's a ladder, okay? So any buys that, let's say Ilia Topuria fights on pay-per-view, and I'm going to make something up, BC, sells 1 million pay-per-view buys. How does that work? Well, he gets a certain dollar amount from 0 to 200K buys. And then he gets a higher amount from, let's say, 2 to 300. And then an even higher amount for 3 to 5. And then usually after that, or certainly after 700 or 800, it just becomes, I think, like a flat fee, not flat fee, but, you know, the number doesn't keep going up at that point. It gets to a certain level. And so it's an escalating tier. And so where you fit in that tier is how you get paid. Now, as I indicated, the pay-per-view buys have apparently been so low that many fighters weren't even getting the next tier up triggered in their deal. And so in a case like that, how does this change? What does this change mean? The answer is maybe nothing, but they're going to have to calculate it differently, right, BC? Like they're at least going to have to figure out a new formula for how that goes. And I don't know the answer to that. And by the way, I want to be clear here, like they're signing this deal, this is the second part about it. I mean, if you're an NBA player and the NBA signs a $1.1 billion deal, the players are going to get up front 49% of that. They're going to get 49% of that. Up front, the UFC fighters are going to get nothing, right? Nothing, not a penny. And this is where I go back to, I don't know what the right answer is to preserve all of the interests of fighters. Is it the Ali Act? Is it unionization? I don't know. And even if they had formed a union, BC, it's not clear that they would be able to extract a 49%, rent from them. But what I will say is, even if it was 25%, let's just say, so that's conservatively closer to 300 million annually that would be distributed to the fighters. That would be a game-changing amount of money, and they don't get that because they couldn't even be bothered to do that. So this is the fruits of their lack of labor. They get to enjoy an absolute nothing burger on a $7.7 billion deal. Congratulations, fellas. You really outdid yourself with that one.
Yeah. Shout out to Renato Moicano, or as Shab will call him, Mucano, for giving back the cash that was rightfully his. Wow. Final question on this, Luke, and then we'll get into our rundown and all things fluffy. Shout out to Anthony Hernandez, by the way. Wow. Kicking off, if we assume that this deal will start in January, and they tend to go big in their intro, obviously the first UFC on Fox card, which was head-to-head against Pacquiao Marquez 3 on pay-per-view and boxing, gave us the heavyweight championship, Cain Velasquez versus Junior Dos Santos Part 1. I don't remember offhand what the first UFC on ESPN card was. Wasn't it TJ Dillashaw?
It was the one in Brooklyn, TJ Dillashaw, Henry Cejudo. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was on ESPN Plus, technically.
So wait, wasn't that a pay-per-view? And then the first on ESPN linear was Cain versus Francis?
Yes, but the first one of the ESPN era, I was at that card. It was at the Barclays Center. I was there.
Yes. So those are very big events. If you had to, knowing the UFC schedule of who might be available, or maybe who you think they would like to really launch this with, who would make sense to kick this off? Connor's back in the pool. John's back in the pool. We try not to talk about those guys too much anymore. What do you think?
Well, by the way, I mean, just think about it logically. That White House event's going to be on CBS, right? Has to be.
If they have it, I mean, I still don't know if that was like part of a negotiation ploy. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
We'll see.
Who knows? All right. Well, to the extent that they have it, it'll be on pay-per-view. But it's the same question like with the White House thing. Like, it's a little early to tell. I mean, I guess we're not too far from January. I don't know. It'll be a title fight. I'll say this. Say what?
Put it on Jan 6 is what I'm saying, Luke. All right, let's just go for it here. Let's go all.
No, but it will be a title fight. Like, it will be a title fight. I don't know which one it'll be, but it'll be a title fight.
I think you should get Topuria, but then again, he's got to get a second fight at the end of this year, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's right. I mean, they might use him for a December pay-per-view, or like, how do they, or to that point, who do they save for that next end deal, and then they punt on at the end of this one? It's going to be really interesting to see. I don't know the answer to that. It's a tough one.
Yeah, this is huge, dude. I don't know what this even means for me. It could be huge.
They told you nothing, or what?
No, dude. No one knew that. Okay, no, we did hear whispers that. Again, we heard whispers internally that it was possible that our company could be part of the extended deal. No idea that it would be exclusive, that it would be for this much money, that there would be a CBS simulcast option built in. Like, dude, for me as a CBS Sports and Paramount employee, this is massive. This is really, really big stuff.
Let me say this. Again, I'm just reacting live, so forgive me. TKO COO, again, Mark Shapiro, the chief operating officer, told CNBC this morning that the deal with Paramount was originally, BC, just for the 30 Fight Night events.
Okay.
Then the Skydance Paramount merger was approved, and they struck a new deal within 48 hours to bring everything to Paramount Plus, including the end of the pay-per-view model. So part of this is why, I mean, I'll speculate here, BC, and that's all I'm doing is speculating. I don't know what the answer is, but I do wonder to what extent, this FCC allowing the merger between Skydance and Paramount, it allowed Paramount to have a lot more cash, right? And then that changes the equation about what they want to do. Because I want to be clear about this. Folks have asked, like, hey, didn't they say when they got rid of you that they were out of the combat sports business? And they were. Like, you can ask the producers on staff who were with Showtime. They had a big call and they were like, we're just out of the combat sports business.
Yeah, Showtime Boxing had to die for this, Luke, unfortunately.
Showtime Boxing had to die. And so, I'll say this, though. If you're getting into business in combat sports and you're a broadcaster, right? You're a broadcast entity, getting the UFC rights package as opposed to a hodgepodge of different boxing boxing events and operators in the space, it just makes a ton of sense, right? You get the whole thing streamlined right there, boom, easy to use. And obviously, as we indicated, UFC fans are going to be, for the most part, pretty loyal about where they go. I would also add, BC, it's hard to not notice that, like, UFC got rid of pay-per-view and is going to be on linear television. At the same time, Top Rank couldn't even secure an $80 million renewal on ESPN. There's no denying that if you're not in favor of the Boxing Revival Act for what it might mean for, boxing monopolization, I think that's fine. I am. However, there's no defending the status quo.
Yeah,
you just can't do it.
I mean,
you can't.
You're right. I'm coming around only on the idea that, like, we tend to ignore how broken boxing actually is and focus on, as a hardcore boxing guy, and focus on the big things. Yet, guess what? WBA just had a card on DAZN over the weekend from Benghazi, Libya, in which they gave out even more extra bullshit titles. And it's like, this is the shit we regularly deal with. By the way, they didn't even have an announce team on that card. They just streamed like the live event from an outdoor stadium. I mean, it's insane. It's wild, but we'll see where it's all going to happen. Obviously, ESPN's going to have a lot more money now if they want to go big in combat, whether that's boxing, whether that's Zuffa boxing, whether that's doubling down on PFL. So a lot of fallout, because as you already know, Luke, everybody in combat sports, every promoter and network was waiting for the results of the UFC broadcasting deal to then figure out where they fit in a larger landscape. So big news. All right, let's carry on with our regularly scheduled program. And that's certainly topic number one. UFC Fight Night from the Apex Warehouse over the weekend gave us a very interesting result in this main event. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez scored the best win of his career. Maybe more importantly, 8th consecutive win. Maybe more importantly than that, in a fight where he was finally healthy, unlike his last bout in a rematch against Brendan Allen, where he did, in his own words, just enough to get the job done while ill. He brutally bullied, beat down, gassed out, and then stopped Roman Dolidze in round 4 via rear naked choke. And as disrespectful and brutal a process, not disrespectful in terms of taunting, just in terms of impact and how he did it, constantly taking Dolidze down, letting him get back up, and just brutalizing him with big right hands and even more takedowns. Luke, we owe Fluffy an apology in terms of where our expectations were, even though he was the betting favorite. I don't think any of us saw this coming. Just how impressive was this victory? And considering it's a crowded title picture, with the belt being defended this Saturday, with Ranier de Ridder needing a big fight, and how about Caio Borralho against maybe the most deserving contender, Nassourdine Imavov Bohalio. I'm sorry. How impressive is this? And could you actually see him cutting the line after this when he did the discount double check in the ring?
I got to tell you, we had both predicted that Fluffy would win, so we were not on the wrong side of this one, but I definitely predicted they would go the distance. I did not think he was going to get the finish. And I still have some issues with the performance. I want to be very clear about that. However, what I will say is this is easily the best he's ever performed that I've seen. You can find fights that he won more quickly than this one, BC. So, folks are always like, oh, well, this one was a little bit more dominant. Right. But here's the difference for me. Number one, he got the finish, and the finish itself, BC, oh my God. he looked like a bouncer dragging a drunk out of the bar. And that's not who, I'm not trying to demean Dolidze. I'm trying to like paint a picture of the viciousness with which he closed the show there. That's the first thing I'd say. But more to the point, BC, this was what I really noticed. I had mentioned that at times Fluffy can be a bit of a slow starter, or, he doesn't really get cooking until a little bit later in the fight. Dude, he was up in Dolidze's grill from the opening bell. Whoop, right across in front of him. Walked over there. And of course, there were times where Dolidze would land a nice shot or, would attempt something and it would push Fluffy back, but then he'd get right back and close the space. There was an urgency to his game that I hadn't quite seen to the same level before. And there was a cohesiveness to his game. It felt to me, BC, maybe you disagree, maybe you agree, that his game had kind of gelled a little bit. Now, there were parts I did not like, as I indicated. He missed on the 1-2 to close the show or to close the distance basically every single time. Like his range management was a little bit off in that regard. But the presence of mind, the forcefulness of it, the relentlessness of it, and the urgency right off the top made such a big difference. Honestly, BC, I think it would be unfair for him to jump the line if, let's say, Imavov beats Caio Borralho. I do think that would be a little bit premature. However, I wouldn't cry about it. I really wouldn't. He's doing special things. He's the middleweight Merab. I saw someone say he's like a middleweight Sean Brady. No, he's not. Sean Brady's got much more technical finishing jiu-jitsu and top pressure. That's really not quite accurate. But BC, from his front headlocks to his cradles to his snap downs to everything else, Fluffy is a tremendous talent, and his guillotines, some of the best in the UFC.
Dude, he fought like a demon. And I think that was a big part of it. It wasn't just jumping all over Dolidze. It was visibly showing a lack of respect for what Dolidze brought. Even when Dolidze would at times fight for survival and counter, Fluffy just took it. He'd put his hands down. He'd take some shots, almost Mayorga style, to send a message. It's insane. And I do have to say one thing. Maybe we wrongfully categorized Fluffy as not being a finisher when we previewed this fight, because that was the feeling we got when that performance against Brendan Allen in the rematch, where he won. He pulled it off, but we felt like maybe there was something lacking of an extra gear. We found out he was really ill. And then some people pointed out to me, actually look at his finishing statistics, which makes me not want to compare him to Merab. Right now, Fluffy Hernandez as a pro has 15 victories. 12 have been by stoppage. So, Luke, I need to take that back. The man is an active finisher. He just doesn't do it with a big knockout punch or with a well-timed early submission. He beats you into submission, ultimately, is where I'm going, because there was a lot of playing with your food here, even though I did like the analysis from Dominic Cruz about why there were times he wasn't putting in the hooks, why there were times he was just purposely gassing Roman out and just almost embarrassing him. Dude, this was just there was so much like oomph behind it, so much like mean-spiritedness. And again, not from a taunting standpoint, just from, I'm going to show you that you don't belong in here next to me. I mean, look, at best, Roman Dolidze, who was ranked number 9 coming in, was sort of a dark horse title contender, right? 3-fight win streak, but he is further in age. But dude, that guy's durable as shit. And it wasn't just gassing out. He was getting hurt regularly, caught below both eyes. And Luke, you said something about his range management and the 1-2s. I thought that right hand was fairly consistently a big part of how he would slightly hurt Dolidze and open up rooms for easy takedowns one after another.
Well, let me debate that a little bit with you. So the answer to that is yes. I think your observation is correct, because there was a relentlessness with it, where at times it would graze, or at a bare minimum, it would force a kind of reaction that he could then build offense off of, right? So he's slipping, or it's punching, or it was in some way disruptive. I mean, dude, even just getting a person to move off their base can be disruptive. So yes, but the amount of times it flat missed, or, he was trying to land it and he got a little close, but not like, it's the volume of times that he missed that was a little frustrating for me. So I think there's anytime a guy is making a volume play, they're inherently telling you they're not trying to be accurate with everything, right? So it's not even like you can say that this is some like terrible part of his game. It's just that my point is, BC, if he could tighten that up a little bit, he wouldn't even have to have as much volume that he does. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like dude, he got the job done. I mean, he got the job done well. I'm saying he might have been able to stop that even sooner if he could have tightened up a few of those right hands.
Felt like he could have stopped it if he went for the sub in like the second or third round. If he actually aggressively went after it, didn't it feel like he could have gotten it?
Yes, and also there's a question about should Dolidze have come out for round 4?
Or should Eric Nixick have let him come out? Because he was
should Eric? And obviously I love Eric Nixick, and I'm not here trying to second guess the coach and say that I know better, but I'm asking a question.
Yeah,
because here's what happens: a lot of times, fighter coaches will let it go during a fight, and then I'll talk to them later, and they'll be like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have done that. So, you want to give these guys, on one level, you want to be like, hey, did you make the right decision? And if you didn't, there's a level of criticism I think that is owed. On the other hand, I do believe in a little bit of grace because a lot of times it occurs to them after the fact, and that then informs their judgment for the next time out. So, something to keep in mind.
Let's see a tweet from Henry Cejudo that was a similar thought I had and a lot of others, where Cejudo said, Anthony Hernandez looked like a future UFC champion tonight. And I don't think that's too aggressive to say because Dolidze was sort of, in the outside, but in that title picture largely. Now, maybe the problem here is that Hernandez was ranked 10 coming in. So to make that leap all the way to the title in a very crowded division is somewhat tough to do. I do think we have to wait for what happens with Caio versus Nassourdine to see who maybe could make that leap. I did hear, of course, Fluffy saying, look, I just want to fight for a title of some form, whether that means the winner of the 319 fight this Saturday, or he even brought up a BMF idea against RDR, which I don't necessarily need, by the way. But I do need him to get a big fight off of this. First, let's hear from Fluffy Hernandez talking about why he had a big scare. He came in a half pound over that limit there of 186 pounds for a non-title bout, had to come back to the scale a second time. Here's Fluffy talking about it.
I guess I just gotta fucking pay more attention, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even know who the fuck was on the card. So, I really don't pay attention. Like, I have a great team. I show up to the airport, they're there, and I just follow them. And the rest kind of works itself out. Like, bro, I really don't pay attention. I'm usually high as shit. So, I like violence, bro. It's the only thing I'm good at.
So I guess we know how you're celebrating tonight.
Oh, for sure. I'm fucking token big. Yeah, fuck yeah. Got 4 joints rolled already.
Dude, hashtag relatable. And even DC said to him in the interview, you're now my favorite fighter. I think a lot of us felt like that, right?
Yeah. If we bring back Room Service Diaries, BC, we have to get high as shit with Anthony Hernandez. Yeah.
We also need to go to Juan Archuleta's family's weed farm up in the hills in California one day. Can we do that?
Yeah. By the way, I have somewhat breaking news. I'm sorry to bring this up, BC, but it's just a crazy day, if I may.
Please.
Just a quick note. I'm sorry, just a quick note, but it just got announced. ESPN and Fox are going to now launch a combined streaming bundle starting October 2nd. So the dominoes are falling in a bunch of different directions. And now I don't know what the name of this thing is going to be, but yeah, the ESPN and Fox are going to be getting together to bring you one streaming service, obviously for sports, right? So
do you think that's the same product that UFC or ESPN was teasing the other day? Their new WWE $20 a month product?
I don't know.
That's just
it's a good question. I don't know yet.
Further talk here about this title picture and what he could get. We have some more sound from Fluffy. We're going to throw that to a second. But Luke, if it was RDR next, I don't think we'd be upset, even though he won 8 in a row. What about this sneaky thing that people are throwing out there? Give Fluffy a big main event against Israel Adesanya with a crowd. What do you think about that?
Say that again.
If Fluffy couldn't get the title, and if you didn't want to do RDR next, what do you think about an idea to raise his, brand more, fight somebody who's coming down, like an Adesanya in a big, big fight night card or something?
This is the fight. This is the way the fight game works. You feed obviously Izzy's not old in that sense, but you feed the elderly to the young. So sure, give him. I think clearly he has to have someone inside the top 5, right? I think we're all in agreement with that. And that leaves you with somebody with a name. Now, BC, could they feed him Whitaker? Would you be okay with Whitaker?
No, because Whitaker's lost a bunch in a row to not consecutively, but a bunch in a row to big name guys. So has Izzy too. Yeah, I guess.
Dude, this is where it is. End of your. This is why guys like Habib and GSP, they called it quits at very. It was so early for them. Yeah, but look what it.
That was father's wish. That was father's wish. Okay.
All right, but GSP, basically called it quits when he could barely beat Johnny Hendricks, arguably didn't, and then took a 4-year, 5-year hiatus, however long it was. I'm just trying to point out, like, if you fight late enough, this is what awaits you. Is the Anthony Hernandez is just coming downhill on you. This is where we are.
All right, let's say Nassourdine Imavov win, or let's say either of one, Caio or Nassourdine, gets a big win there. Like, RDR Fluffy would be great also. Like, if that's the worst case scenario for Fluffy, RDR versus Fluffy would be a hell of an interesting test.
Oh my God, that would be amazing because the jiu-jitsu between them would be ridiculous. That'd be a lot of fun. But you haven't asked me about this, and I was hoping that you would, but we got to bring it up.
All right, boxers or briefs, Luke?
Right now I'm free balling. No, I'm teasing. I'm wearing boxers. Just letting my balls sag. Why didn't Dolidze go to the body? A known weakness of Anthony Hernandez. Why didn't they go there? I've seen some criticism of Dolidze as well as some of the cornering that happened in that fight. And I have to
admit, overwhelmed. He was overwhelmed off the jump.
But like, if you want to resist the dude, the guy has known, it's a little bit like Cerrone in that regard. Like, tough out. Like, obviously he's going to beat good guys. And again, I want to be clear, like, Hernandez was favored to win. Like, the odds makers thought he was going to get it done. I'm simply saying, like, you didn't go to the most obvious kind of known weakness. Real big question about Dolidze's game plan, I think, for me, for this one.
I'm with you on there. Sometimes I think, though, you are who you are at your core when you're in it. And he was in it right off the top, right? So sometimes you're essentially just fighting for survival. And I'll give him credit. He bit down and tried to brawl with it with Fluffy. Like, he tried his best to find some ways to get him off of him. But I think once at the end of that second round, it was clear that the gas tank was going to be gone soon. I mean, you're in full survival mode at that point. You're trying to stay upright, and he's just getting tossed to the ground. I mean, I don't think Roman Dolidze needs to walk away, even though he's 37. And they were polite afterwards. Roman came up and congratulated him and hugged him. But I've never felt more like, I've never seen a one-sided finish. Like, I mean, maybe Anderson Silva, Forrest Griffin, where it's just like, oh my God, that guy should maybe never fight again, because it was like so overwhelmingly conclusive on every level. I mean, it's rough, dude. It was rough what Fluffy put him through. Let's hear Hernandez talk about where he thinks he fits in this title picture.
Rear naked choke is what it goes down in the books, but that was like statement there too, right? There's rear naked chokes, and there's just dragging another human being across the cage by their neck. I mean, what's going through your head in the moment? And were you like, I'm going to try to make this as violent as possible rather than just sit and squeeze?
I almost lost my cool. No, I don't know. I was pissed off and saw the neck, and I was just like, fuck you. But at the end of the day, hats off to Roman. He's a tough motherfucker. I got nothing but respect for the guy. He's fucking super awesome, was super nice all media day. It's like, I don't know. When I get hit and shit, when I start fighting, I lose it, and I get mad and I want to kill you. But it's like, it's nothing personal to you. It's just, fuck you for hitting me, you know what I mean?
Last thing for me, I mean, do you book a plane ticket to Chicago for next week and go?
That's what I'm hearing. I'm flying to Chicago, so yeah.
Seems like the #1 contender fight in Paris. There's you, there's RDR. If you do have to fight again, would a fight with like Sean Strickland?
I really, like, when I say I don't give a fuck who I fight, yes, I'm serious about that shit. I don't give a fuck who I fight. I think it'd be cool if there was like a contender BMF belt or like something like that, but I want the fucking title. That's the only reason I do this shit for, is to get that money and change my family's life.
You're going to Chicago. Is that something UFC said to you, or is that something your team has planned?
No, I just was told that in the back right now, that they're going to fly me out. So I'll be looking forward to that.
Hell yeah.
So wait, is he flying out to be the backup, or just to be there to like face off against the winner? Like, what are we doing?
He didn't say, but either, I think probably insurance too. They need someone to promote.
Sure.
I don't know if he barely made weight for this one. I don't know if he can make weight again, but it seems like he could have some promotional muscle to add to the whole intrigue of what's already the best fight on the fucking calendar. So yeah,
Strickland.
Dude, can you believe how great middleweight is right now? This is
Strickland's
insane.
Just as interesting an option, even though it seems like Strickland's trying to get a long-term Hamzat fight going, but he has lost 2 of his last 3, both to DDP. The only thing I'll say is, like, he's never had more leverage or brand power than he has right now. I hate when people say I'll fight whoever. I like that he hedged it with, I want to fight for the title. I need to fight for the title. Dude, stand on business. You did the discount double check. Tell them you're the man for the title next. Say to people, I'm going out there to Chicago to get in the face of the winner. Like, that's the spirit I want to see, Luke, out of him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I fully agree with that. You know, he's not, if there's something to be said for Fluffy that I think is holding him back a little bit, and it's not a personal attack. I'm not saying his personality sucks. I'm saying he's not a natural self-marketer, right? I think it's pretty fair to say. And then obviously being a very good self-marketer pays enormous dividends in this sport. So he has to earn it the hard way, but he's earning it the hard way. He seems quite likable. And, you know, if you just like fun, exciting entrants into a division who are, you know, seemingly near the peak of their powers, I present to you Fluffy Hernandez as an exhibit in easy to like kind of fighters.
I'm with you. Becoming one of my favorite fighters overnight, instantly. Like, I'm glad I was wrong at what his ceiling is. I'm glad he showed us coming off a fight he was sick who he really is. Also, people laughed at me last year when I said middleweight was potentially the sexiest division because you had a title picture with a lot of new guys and then a lot of big names like Whitaker and Adesanya. I'm glad that it still is. I think welterweight's a little more interesting and a little deeper, but middleweight is fun as shit. And we're going to see that this Saturday, of course, at UFC 319 with DDP versus Hamzat. Now, speaking of UFC 319 this Saturday, hey, now's a good time to remember the story where Tequila's story truly began, if I could get that correct, because you already know this Thursday, brought to you by Cuervo, you're getting pregame preview for Morning Combat, UFC 319, BCLT, and UFC lightweight Matt Frivola, 11 a.m. Eastern on the YouTubes. But Tequila's story goes all the way back to 1795 when Cuervo invented tequila. And since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots. Same family, same land. Yeah, that same passion too. 230 years later, Cuervo's still here on top in every pour, in every margarita, in every celebration. So enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo, the tequila that invented tequila. ProximoCuervo.com. Please drink responsibly. And Luke, we're just 3 days out from getting that Devil's Reserve going, if you know what I'm talking about.
Hell yeah, with the one and only Matt Frivola. By the way, I think he's a new dad as well, BC.
Yeah, I've said that earlier. Gang. Yes, I did.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That's no problem, Luke. It's a busy day, okay? You're an excited guy. You just got back from the beach, boy.
I'm trying to see all this breaking news from Mark Shapiro that's coming down from CNBC. So it is.
Yeah, I heard a snippet of him and Ari on CNBC where they kind of made it sound like there would be a lot of UFC cards simulcasted on CBS.
Yeah. So what he is saying, one thing I didn't even mention here is that one thing he's saying is he said he didn't say it was definite. But he did say it was likely that all the numbered events, so, you know, UFC 30, whatever, will air on CBS.
Wow.
So
does that mean like early prelims and prelims, and then we go?
Who knows? Who knows?
I mean, dude, if you're David Ellison now of Paramount and you want to make a big move and a big splash with this, which they did, put that on big CBS. Let's go. I mean, there's, you know,
the issue. This is the same issue that they run into when they were on Fox, and it's something they run into when they were on ABC, which is, with some exception now, of course, there's exception. If you're on Fox Sports 1, they can just move whatever's off there for UFC if they wanted to, right? There's almost nothing that airs on Fox Sports 1 except like maybe they have a contractual obligation for like a baseball game, but you know, it's not so crowded that they can't move it around. Whereas BC, let me ask you a question. What is CBS's slate of college football and NFL playoff games?
Pretty aggressive. CBS
pretty aggressive, right?
The Big Ten deal. They obviously have been in business with the NFL, showing you AFC games for you know, many decades.
Yeah. So this is what I mean. As big as the UFC is, and it's big, they're gonna have a tough time competing with the NFL playoffs or big-time college football. Dude, big-time college football, BC, what does that do? Like 15, 18 million viewers?
Oh, it's big. It's really big. But so, I mean, look, they might pick their battles during that part of the season, right? But like, let's see what they do on the totality.
But also some stuff just materializes. Like they can't move all big fights off of football season, which by the way, goes from freaking August until basically the first week of, or second week of February. You know what I mean? Like it's a long time. How they play that, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, Paramount Plus can house everything, no problem. But if you've got one CBS, you got to be real deliberate about what goes on there. That part could get. But BC, remember this: First time they aired on Fox, they had a full card. They showed one fight on Fox. Could we get to a place where during football season, they just show the main and co-main on CBS? Could that happen?
That could be wild because that time would be after your local news, right? Or right around that time. And
exactly.
And if Colbert's not there anymore, right?
Well, I mean, he's weekdays, and also like his show was bad. You know what I mean? Can we say that out loud? His show was bad. Who gives a shit?
There we go. Hey, let's get into topic number 2, which was the co-main event on Saturday's UFC Fight Night card from the Apex, a bantamweight last-minute bout between two flyweights, and Steve Erceg, former title challenger, who's gone from 3 straight wins in the UFC to get a title shot to 3 straight defeats, nearly made it 4 as he was a big betting favorite against Ode Osbourne, and he would go on to score a 3-round unanimous decision on 29 to 28 scorecards across the board. But as I teased, the fight nearly got out of hand several times, including when Osbourne dropped him with a beautiful straight right hand. Luke, there's almost more questions than there were about Erceg coming in, even though he scored a much, much needed win. Should this lackluster performance be viewed as Erceg dealing with the nerves that come with 3 straight losses and the potential of 4, which for all we know could lead to unemployment? Or are there still bigger issues in Erceg's development and overall skill level as an elite flyweight?
Feel like that's the central question after watching that fight. All right, he got the job done. How did you score it? 29-28 for him?
Yes, but I felt like there was an argument on that second round, like it could have gone 2-1. Third round, definitely Erceg.
Third round, yeah, like he was in mount basically the whole time. I mean, it was the one time he got up and they put him back down. Long Island Luke, how did you score the co-main?
I had it 2-1, but I didn't think he looked good throughout it.
You did not. Well, in round 3, he looked pretty good. I just like from losing the last round against Pantoja to here, I feel like there's a big gap of right. Okay, so that's where I'm at. So by the way, if Osbourne had won, winning rounds 1 obviously, and then maybe round 2, I would not have complained. In fact, I thought Erceg. I'm not going to say he got lucky, BC, but the wind kind of blew a little bit in his direction, such that he was able to get it done. So I'm glad he was able to like stop the bleeding. And I just don't think you can look at this and divorce the two. I mean, he even admitted, I think we have audio to this effect, and we'll play it here, I'm sure, in a minute, which is he was feeling the heat on this one in terms of all the losses that he had. Nevertheless, this guy pushed Pantoja to the point where I'm going to say it one more time. If he doesn't go for a takedown in the 5th, he's probably the next UFC flyweight champion. And he was struggling with Ode Osbourne. He was getting cracked, obviously, a bunch in the first. And even in the second round, he had a hard time closing distance and setting up his strikes. What saved him in the end was basically the ground game. That was what he was able to do. And obviously, he really took over in the third. So he was able to win, and he was able to win by being more well-rounded. But he does not look like a better fighter than the guy who beat Matt Schnell. He does not look like a better fighter than the guy who faced off against Pantoja. He doesn't look like a better fighter than the one who fought against, frankly, Brandon Moreno, for crying out loud. He looked like, until we see a few more fights, I cannot fully declare what's happening here in terms of regression versus just the jitters of the moment. But what I am going to say is he's got a lot of climbing to do to remove himself from consideration that he's regressed. Like it's so far back that, several fights are going to be necessary to even get back to where he was.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Confidence seems shot. Let's hear Erceg talking about the struggles mentally that came with the idea of that losing streak. And I mean, Martin Boudet just got cut when he's 7-1, so you never know if he was going to come back. Although shout out to Boudet getting the Octagon MMA deal. Here's Erceg.
How much pressure did you have on yourself coming into this fight?
Yeah, heaps. Obviously, like doubts run through your head. Like, was I a fraud all along? Do I really deserve to be here? All that nonsense. So it's good to fight a tough guy in the UFC. Been here for ages and get a tough win.
When the judges read the scorecards, were you confident that you won the fight?
Yeah, I thought I did enough. I mean, you never really know, but I thought I had his back in the second, I had his back in the third, so I thought I did enough.
Yeah, tough break for this guy right there, Luke, because he did what he had to do in round 3 with almost desperate wrestling to constantly pull Osbourne back down and keep him there. Really, my biggest question is, did Osbourne fly home or take a train?
I like how the news is so big that you're distracted quite visibly on your phone.
Yeah, it's wild.
And
It
yet,
is wild.
and yet you still have time to make a Osbourne joke.
Yeah.
Seamlessly.
I mean,
Seamlessly.
do you feel like he ever gets back to a big fight, Luke? I mean, what do you think?
It's just too early to tell. I mean, that again, he didn't die in the Sarlacc pit, BC, but I don't know if he's going to make it to Jedi. You know what I'm saying? He extricated himself from the worst case scenario. We can say that. That's it.
He did indeed right there. So Erceg survives in advance. We'll see what his future looks like here in the flyweight division. But UFC 319 is blowing back to the Windy City this Saturday for the first time in 6 years. Hey, how about you download that Pick 6 app from DraftKings right now, the official partner of UFC, to get in on the action and win real big cash. It's crazy simple. We talk about it all the time. You pick 2 or more fighters and you got to pick more or less on the stats that affect them, like significant strikes, takedowns, to figure out your best bet on what Saturday will look like. And boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. No gimmicks, no weird rules. If you're new to Pick 6, get ready to play big. Score $50 in bonus picks instantly on an entry for just $5. Ain't that right, LT?
Yes, it is right for just $5. So what you're going to do, boys and girls, what you're going to do is download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use the code COMBAT. That's COMBAT with a K. One more time, new customers play $5 and get $50 in bonus picks instantly. Ride the upside where a few bucks can turn into a bag only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. On August 24th this year at 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Thank you very much, Luke Thomas, for your efforts. Topic number 3 is going to take us to the rest of what we saw at UFC Apex 109 or whatever you want to call it there. By the way, did Hunter Campbell just say publicly that they're looking to expand the Apex to 5, maybe 10,000 seats? That would be a big upgrade, but we're talking right now about this undercard. Luke, I want to pick off the menu and go down to the prelims. Did you see what Jocelyn Edwards did to Priscilla Cachoeira? We do not get KOs this nasty in the women's game. I'd love to show you the highlights, but they would certainly take us down for that. Basically a 3-punch combination that might legit be in the KO of the year category. And when you add in Jocelyn Edwards, somebody we don't talk about a lot on this show, that's 3 straight wins, all 3 by stoppage for the women's bantamweight. Is this potentially like some life injected into one of the worst divisions in the sport?
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, dude, when she started out in UFC, first of all, she had 1 fight in LFA, which she lost. And then she makes it to the UFC with a 9-2 record. She beat Wu Yanan, who I don't know if she's fought since then. She loses to Carol Hossa and then Jessica Rose Clark pretty convincingly. She gets a few wins along the way and then loses again to a bunch of fighters, including Eileen Perez. But the last 2 of these, BC, the last one obviously against Priscilla Cachoeira this past Saturday, and then Chelsea Handler before that, 2 back-to-back first-round stoppages.
Chelsea Chandler, Luke. Let's not, I mean,
what did I say?
What are we doing here? Just Chelsea Handler.
Oh, Chelsea Chandler.
She banged 50 Cent. I mean, that was pretty good, but
Yeah. All right, fair enough. I apologize. Chelsea Chandler. Either way, the point I'm trying to make is she got 2 back-to-back first-round stoppages, yes, but it's what you indicated, BC, that 3-punch combination here on Cachoeira. Her hands have gotten visibly better. She's 29 years of age now, Edwards is, and it just looks like the parts of her game that needed maturation, and there was a lot of them, they're getting it. Like, she's starting to know how to sit down on her punches. Look at the result as a consequence. There's just much more forcefulness to it. There's much more accuracy to it. There's much more shot thoughtful, I should say, shot selection behind it. She did not start out in any way an impressive figure in this division. And, still a ways to go, BC. But the way she's looked more recently, it just seems like, everyone kind of, hits their stride at a different point in their career. Some are, shot out of a cannon and they're good from day one. But guys you like were not necessarily like that. Max Holloway, did not start out necessarily as a Terminator, but he just eventually became one. I'm not saying Edwards is going to do that, BC, but she is definitely rounding a corner.
Yeah, in a big way. Shout out to Jocelyn Edwards on that breakthrough. Elsewhere, Luke, Elijah Smith's slam KO of Toshiomi Kazama brought back memories of old school MMA. If Jocelyn Edwards belongs in the KO of the year discussion for that 3-punch in a side of disrespect, where does this slam KO from Elijah Smith fit in?
So it's definitely one of the best KOs of the year. I mean, there's no question about it. But let me ask a question that people have been pitching to me that I don't know, hadn't fully thought about much, which is how much do you think KO slams like this should be illegal? Because you can't punch the back of the head, but I can lift you up and then slam you to the mat, and it's the same area being affected. Why would that be tolerable?
I mean, I felt the same way when Jessica Andrade did that to Rose, where it was like, damn, that could have been like career ending.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I tend to think that like MMA is sort of diminished when you get rid of creativity like this, but at the same time, it rules to see.
I mean, like, it doesn't it instantly feel like 2002 Pride, or like it instantly brings you back to a different era when you see that. It's so rare 100%. That it happens.
It's again, MMA is built on oh shit moments, right? That's what it's built on, and that is clearly an oh shit moment. So if that doesn't win KO of the year, it better be a very good one that does.
Yeah, you're right. Let's hear from Elliott Smith talking about his slam where he let the boys be boys.
I could feel like with every shot he was like breaking, and that's when he threw up the triangle, and the rest is history. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't believe he could get me in the triangle. So I'll give him his flowers for attempting and getting close to it. I promise the next time I won't even get close to that. But I just being in jiu-jitsu tournaments where I have video of me like when I was younger, and where guys got a triangle and I lifted them up in the same way. And my dad always told me, I remember that one time he was like, if this was a fight, man, you could have definitely slammed the sugar honey iced tea out of him. And this time I finally had the opportunity to do it. I can't do it against training partners. I love my guys. But, when it's somebody random that you don't know and it's for, everything is on the line, oh, yeah, you about to get slammed. You about to get slammed on your dome piece. This was definitely, in my opinion, this was the statement that I needed to prove to myself that, Elijah, you can go out there and you could go get a finish. You could go get that highlight knockout, go viral, and you can do that. You're more than capable. But when the lights shine, just do it, man. Just be you. Be Elijah Swift Smith. Be somebody who you've always been your whole fight career. And yeah, it's just so crazy how it all played out.
That's Elijah Smith. Shout out to me calling him Elliott Smith.
Yeah, Elliott Smith. Yeah,
former singer-songwriter who stabbed himself in the heart, unfortunately. But Elijah Smith, pretty funny, Luke, in that interview. I want to see and hear more from this guy.
He seems like a lot of fun. Great.
All right, talk to me about touchy-feely here. He always goes win-loss for about a 10-fight streak, scores a close split decision over Christian Rodriguez, but he wasn't into that Holloway bit with pointing at the ground, Luke.
Play the audio first if we have it.
We had like 10 to 20 seconds left, and he looked at the clock and then looked at me and pointed down like the Holloway point, and I said, no, fuck you. And I stuck it, and I kept sticking and moving. That's what happened. I'm not doing that. Like I said, diapers are expensive, groceries are expensive. I've had lots of fights where I could prove that I'm tough. I think that fight was exciting. I hope it was an exciting fight. But I don't need to stand there and go, okay, point at the ground, let's go. First of all, no one does it right. Max is the only person that does it right, where you plant your feet and you swing. And I'm not saying I'll never do that, but I'll probably never do that. If I ever fought Max Holloway again, which I'm not gunning for that, I love Max and I really have a lot of love for him. But if I ever fought Max Holloway again and he pointed at the ground, I would say the same thing I said tonight. No, fuck off. Leave me alone. And I'd get back to sticking and moving.
So you're one of those that would agree with the assessment Dustin gave after they asked him about the final 10 seconds with his fight.
Dog, have you seen how that's worked out for a lot of people? I'm cool. Like, we could gamble later after the fight, bro. I'm not here to gamble. I'm here to be sharp. I'm here to be a world-class fighter, and I'm here to collect 2 to 3 checks, and I'm here to make my people proud. I'm not here to plant my feet and throw unless that's part of the game plan. More power to people. I'm actually pretty honestly, I got the mic, so you guys got to listen to me right now. I'm pretty fucking sick of people doing the point and the dog. If you're going to point at the ground and you're going to say, let's go for the last 10 seconds, and you're going to try to do what Holloway does, no one else can do it. He's the only one that does it right. You got to plant your feet and throw. It's not plant your feet, throw twice and shoot, or plant your feet and clinch. It's plant your feet and throw. And if I ever do it, I'll do it right.
I mean, that's fair. It is getting old, right?
I actually fully agree with him. You know what I mean? Like, I get that people want to adopt it because, oh, Max did an awesome thing. I want to participate in an awesome thing. It's like, I don't think people realize how special Max is. You know what I mean? Like, even very good fighters don't benefit from that. He is a unique, it comes from him having a unique makeup and frankly, like, not identity, but composition about who he is. And you can't just take that and be like, oh, I'll do the same thing. It doesn't work that way. So I did think that the scoring was a little bit weird in this one, right? Because you had 29-28, 28-29, and then 30-27. Long Island Luke, how did you score this one?
I had a 30-27 Feely. I think the judge who scored it for C-Rod was like, I don't know how you.
I agree. I thought I had 29-28. I thought that was a pretty fair score. Dude, C-Rod is weird, right? Because he'll beat anybody who's an undefeated prospect, and then they match him up with like a veteran guy, and he's just kind of left wanting as a consequence. And it tells you, like, there was MMA on Point did a video a long time ago where they were saying, like, the sport's getting older, and like older guys are doing better later now. And it feels like C-Rod is kind of like a victim of that. Like, if you're not on the level, he'll find out. But if you're an experienced veteran, then they're going to be doing some teaching, it seems like. And it's a difficult problem for some of these guys.
Yeah, you reach, Luke, we teach. That's how it works. Talk to me about Christian Leroy Duncan, who damn near sent Eric Anders to hell. And now the only losses for Duncan are against Hobo Cop and Armand Petrosian. Did he give you the feeling, considering Anders is a durable, consistent veteran here, that he's on his way to viable contendership at 185?
You know what? I would not have said that before this fight. I wasn't even sure who he was on the roster, but this was such a nice win. And Eric Anders is a limited fighter, but he's a tough out. And he, has found relevance over the course of time by grinding out wins. And, he's won some, he's lost some, but, kind of being there as a consistent presence. And he got handled in this fight. Like, when was the last time Eric Anders got handled? I don't
football field. I don't know, Luke. Let's see here. He was stopped by a spinning back elbow and then the punches that followed up. He got subbed by Andre Muniz in 21, but he got stopped by elbows against Maheta in 2018, but it's a very rare sight.
See what I'm saying? Like, it's not a common thing for him. And then, by the way, is this his only first round striking stoppage?
Probably, yeah, I believe so.
Right? This is what I mean. Like, this was such a nice performance that it's the same thing I'm going to say with Erceg, but in a different way. Like, I didn't know he's got to climb back out. But with this case, I was so impressed by it that I'm like, okay, let's see more. Let's see more. But it's very rare to beat a durable veteran like Anders the way that Duncan did. And that, to me, signals something potentially interesting.
Long Island Luke, you are a marauder of the early cards for UFC on your Main Card Minute podcast. We didn't get Red Rocket Ronda on this one, but did we get anything else that moved you?
I did see Red Rocket Ronda just got booked. I can't remember against who, but Uros Medic, how about that, dude? He gets dropped about 10 seconds into that fight, and you're like, oh, this dude's getting finished. And then he just sends Gilbert Urbina to hell. That was pretty sick. Got to give a shout out to Juicy J, I believe his nickname is Julius Walker. Is that his nickname, or am I making
Julius is right?
Juicebox.
Julian
Juicebox
Arosa,
is his nickname. I knew he had a cool nickname. Sorry. Juicebox, Julius Walker, and Rafael Sequeira. They put on a fun fight. It was a slobber knocker light heavyweight fight, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, Gilbert Urbina looking like those people that Uget Urbina hit with the machete on his farm. You know what I'm talking about? Maybe not. All right, that was the UFC. Look, you're done with UFC Apex, right?
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, there was some phenomenal KOs on this card. I didn't watch it live. I'm not going to say. Well, I watched the main event live. I did watch the main event live, but you know, it was a pretty fun fight night card for what it was.
Friend of the program, Cody Brundage, getting a last-minute split decision loss in the curtain jerker, unfortunately.
Yes.
But shout out to Eric Mocanico.
I will say that was kind of a robbery too. Most people thought Brundage won that fight, so
I thought the same.
I haven't butchered that name badly since Caio, and that time I called him Dick Rico. Remember that guy, Luke? Yeah, right.
He loved
that guy
the
that
media.
hates the media. Yeah, that guy loves the media. All right, topic number 4. Hey, I got to shout out PFL because even though I don't like that they do regional promotions all over the world and there's a tournament for everything and belts for everything, when they put on cards, people get brutally finished. PFL Africa from Johannesburg over the weekend took place. The bigger story here is certainly Don Davis and Ngannou, and we'll get to that. Luke, I wish we could show particularly 2 of the highlights. Did you see the vicious KOs that this card produced?
Bro, I could not believe how good they were. That jumping knee where the guy, did you notice the guy who got KO'd in the jumping knee? One arm went like this, and then the other arm went like this. You know how, like, when Family Guy, when people die and fall over, their arms are all twisted like that?
Yes.
It reminded me of, like, the characters in Family Guy getting their bodies all twisted. I could not believe how good it was. Then there was a question mark kick. There was a bunch of them. Those 2 are probably the best. Dude, they've had 2 events in South Africa in about a month or whatever, 3 weeks or something like that. And they were both sellouts, and they both produced a ton of great response. This card did not have great names, but it was a home run in my estimation.
It really was. And people are okay, what do you make? I forgot the journalist that tweeted it out, but somebody tweeted out that, like, we got to try to turn our criticism around a bit because what is actually happening inside the cage at PFL, the smart cage, excuse me, this calendar year has been fairly consistently good. Would you say that, Luke? And you think it's fair to say that despite how many times from a PR level they've shot themselves in the foot?
I think that they're doing, in terms of their in-cage product, dude, they're killing it right now, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, you cannot in good faith look at the results of what has happened, watch the contests, and then come to the conclusion that they're, that this is a failing promotion in that regard. Now, you can make a question about, like, can they succeed long-term? I'm not talking about that. I'm saying, are they, when they show up on fight night, are they delivering, I would argue, not just good MMA, but in certain cases, certainly with like Dakota Ditcheva and whatever, and other ones, relevant MMA? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. Like, these events are fantastic, and they have been fantastic. And then to say nothing of what Thad Jean has done, we've talked about it ad nauseum already. Like, dude, they're in cage. This is why it's so important to me that we say this out loud, right? Because if we're going to say that the PFL, they got a new executive coming in, a new CEO coming in. They just hired Jamie Pollock, who was like head of Latin America for UFC. Now he's going to be head of Latin America for PFL. They're bringing in talent. I think bringing in Dan Hardy has been a fucking game changer for them because his sensibility about what works is almost exactly correct every single time. And just look at the product now. They've simplified it. It's better. They've got better names from, not everyone from the Bellator takeover, but they got some addition to their roster from that. And it's been phenomenal as a consequence. And so the reason why it's important to say that is not to just give them a pat on the back. It's to say this promotion is making good decisions, right? I mean, they made a lot of bad ones, but now they're making good decisions. What fruit does that bear long term?
Does that get them? Are they going to be the only show in town on ESPN? Or are they going to get a big push now?
Exactly.
That's a good question.
What does being a number 2 promotion that makes good decisions get you?
Yeah.
We're going to find out.
Who does number 2 work for? Right. That's what I want to know.
Joseph A. Bank. Yeah.
Yeah. Two sold out shows in South Africa in less than a month. We know what they've been doing, packing crowds in Europe. I wish they would do a larger, better job at simplifying who their true core of marketable fighters are and then marketing them aggressively. I like Coachman in the speaking role, so we'll see. However, this PFL Africa card had a little bit of controversy surrounding the fact that Francis Ngannou, who of course was signed as a massive free agent, not just to be a fighter as a heavyweight, although he's only appeared once in the cage since signing that deal after 2 consecutive big-time boxing opportunities. He was also going to be aboard, like on the fighters' board of directors, going to be the head of their PFL Africa movements, but he didn't show up to this card. And Don Davis took to Twitter to really express how disappointed he was with Don with 2 N's, said, quote, I'm not going to hide it. I expected him, meaning Francis. This is part of his vision so that all those fighters out there don't have to leave the continent like he did. We worked for 2 years. I'm disappointed. Luke, we've said a lot of really good things about Francis Ngannou, who I largely believe is a very good soul and somebody I cheered for to get out of his UFC deal and get what he wanted, which is better treatment, big money in boxing. But I can't act like he's been a boon to PFL. I can't act like he's gone out of his way to help PFL. He didn't even hang around when they wanted him to face off Renan Ferreira that time ahead of the big fight that they ended up booking right there. Do you believe Don has a point? And would you go as far as saying Ngannou hasn't kept up his end of the bargain?
I think Don Davis is correct. I think he is well within his rights to say this. And Francis, okay, listen, we don't know what's happening in Francis's life or, personal life where perhaps there were a set of circumstances that just made going to this for whatever reason impossible. But it's not like Francis made a big to-do about not being there, like trying to make amends with the organization in some kind of way. He just didn't post. You know what I mean? It's not like he contacted PFL and was like, hey, guys, I'm dealing with something, I'm imagining something, some kind of scenario that he had to attend to that, precluded him. Like, dude, the PFL has been patient with him. They gave him everything that he asked for. They let him go box. You know what I mean? They created this whole subdivision for him, and he doesn't even have the decency to go there. And it turned out that it was a phenomenal event that was actually a pretty big success. Now, what it will do for PFL Africa long term, I don't really know. But, on that night, did the event deliver in the way that it was intended to? Absolutely. And it did it absent his participation. Like, the guy made a big stink about, oh, it's not just, like him, even if he had said nothing else, him leaving UFC to go to PFL to maximize his contractual rights, that alone is a win for fighter advocacy, right? He didn't need to do the other stuff, but he chose to do the other stuff. He chose to make a big deal about this global board, and he chose to make a big deal about PFL Africa, and he chose to make this a part of his identity. He willingly went through with it, and then they have their launch. And the one guy who is central to this, and the point that Don Davis raises is like, so guys don't have to leave the continent like he had to. Remember, Francis obviously had to go through this incredible journey just to get to a gym where he could become what he ultimately became. Again, I don't know what the situation is in his personal life, but I'm guessing that Don Davis saying this is evidence of the fact that there wasn't really much necessarily that precluded him from going. He just simply chose not to for, again, for whatever personal reasons that may end up being. Yeah, dude, he let PFL down. Like we are very pro fighter on this show, but that doesn't mean we're always going to take their side.
Sure.
If a promotion does this dude, this deal that he got, what other fighter in MMA history has gotten a deal like this? It is novel.
Has he been under contract for like 2+ years? He's fought once. He didn't enter a tournament. He doesn't show up to other cards to promote. Like it's weird, man.
They did all of this for him. And listen, here I'm gonna make something up here. I'm going to speculate. Okay, my speculation is that he probably had a lot of high hopes for what it meant to go to the PFL when he left UFC, and and maybe like other guys they'd be able to sign, and it hasn't really happened, and he doesn't really believe in the life of this deal anymore. Okay, fine. Nevertheless, man, they gave you a great deal. Like they gave you a deal unlike any other deal in the history of MMA. I don't know, man. Seems kind of shitty he didn't post. I think Don Davis has a point here.
I don't ask this question because we got shocked this morning that Paramount is now the official rights holder beginning in 2026 in the US for UFC. But Could you see a scenario where maybe Dana was right? And I thought Dana was being a dick this whole time, constantly saying Francis is a bad guy at every turn, because when Dana has a grudge with somebody, that can happen. I mean, I wonder if he's right now, Luke. I don't know. I don't know the specifics, but I wonder if he's right. Is it fair to at least say we may change our tune on that one day?
I mean, is Dana right that Francis is a bad guy? I don't know if one event makes him a bad guy or what the full scope of it is. Also, why would Francis be a bad guy? Because he wanted, to get the best deal imaginable. Like, that doesn't make him a bad guy. That might make him someone you don't want to do business with, but that doesn't make him a bad person, right? And so, I mean, listen, everyone is going to make mistakes and everyone's going to make poor judgment. And Lord knows I've got a life filled with incidences like that. But I just think on this one issue, could Francis have done more to be a willing participant to a company that, rolled out the red carpet and then some for him? Yeah, he could have, dude. He could have. I think Don Davis is really right on this one.
Yeah, where's Jake Paul too?
Well, that's not Francis's fault. I mean, he can't fix that.
I get that. All right, let's go to topic number 5. A reminder: we will not have a show on Friday. We're going to have our pregame preview on Thursday. So now's the only time to talk about this. There is big time boxing this Saturday. Whether it should be a pay-per-view on DAZN in the U.S. is another argument. But 20-year-old heavyweight prospect Moses Itauma from the United Kingdom. Dude, I just did a video deep dive. This phenom is totally on the verge of being a very legit thing. 12-0 with 10 KOs, somehow just 20 years old. And he's got a big fight against 37-year-old Dillian Whyte, this Saturday. We know Whyte is battle-tested, just 3 losses, all on the elite level. And this will just be Itauma's 13th pro fight. The bout will take place in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Whyte might be 37, but we don't really worry about that in heavyweight. And he's got an incredible amount of experience, having faced the likes of Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, knocked out Joseph Parker. So we're talking about, split those fights with Alexander Povetkin, and he's fighting a kid who's 20 years old. Luke, does it feel like this is too much too soon for Itauma, who has fought only 25 rounds in his career? Or after you watch the tape, after you listen to him speak, which I did this week, it's going to be an interview on my channel. Does that change anything for you to the idea that, is this kid ready for this fight? And if he wins it, you already know Turkey wants to put him in there against Usyk. So we're not talking about the future. The future is going to be right now.
I think he's the most exciting prospect in combat sports.
Wow. Whoa.
Right?
Whoa. Wow.
Who is more exciting as a prospect than him?
I mean, that's the question, right? That's the damn question.
I mean, maybe you could say Gable Steveson if you're really projecting, but we have so little to go on, that we're just looking at his wrestling and we don't know exactly what that will mean, But Itauma is, do you look at him on tape? He's fast. I feel like his body just naturally flows in how do I say this exactly? There are some people who can learn how to box, and there are some people who it seems like boxing naturally flows through them. And he seems like the latter of those. Now, I obviously have questions, BC, less so in whether he can beat Dillian Whyte. However, to the point you raised, which is, okay, well, let's say he goes out there and he just smokes Dillian Whyte, right? Inside 3-4 rounds. Well, then what? They're going to give him Usyk? Now, that seems like a bridge too far, because while the kid can't even legally buy a beer in the United States. That's how young he is. He can't even do that. He couldn't vote here. I mean, obviously he's British, but you know the point I'm trying to make. Like, he wouldn't be old enough.
He ain't renting a car anytime soon, Luke.
That's right. Whatever demarcation line you want to use for being 21, he hasn't crossed it yet. And so it just seems like we're rushing him so quick. But like, dude, think about Moses Itauma's rise versus somebody like an American fighter like Richie Torres. Richie Torres is good, BC. He's a good fighter. He's not Moses Itauma. I mean, he's just not. He just cannot do what that kid can do. He doesn't move like he moves. He doesn't hit like he hits. And Torres is a good, accomplished fighter. So I feel like the hype on him is It's more than just real. It's in many ways justified. I guess it's the same thing I worry about in MMA. You get someone who's young and they're killing it. They're like front of the line, and that can mess up everything thereafter. So I guess we'll just have to see how it goes. But do I believe in his upside? Yes, I firmly believe in his upside.
So he's not going to break Mike Tyson's record as the youngest heavyweight champion in history at age 20. He'll turn 21 in December, but obviously he has the potential to be pretty darn close. He was born in Slovakia to a Nigerian father and Slovakian mother, moved to the UK when he was 4 years old. I also didn't want to believe that this was all real, right? But he has fought some durable old contenders and blown them away. His hand speed, the variety of his offense, these are he has phenom level abilities in there. Obviously, the questions we don't have answers for is he's gone the distance twice in 6-round fights early in his career, never been past 6 as a pro, has knocked out so many fighters as he's climbed the ladder in the first, second, and third rounds. So I chat with him. We're going to hear this. You can check out this interview in full on the Brian Campbell Experience, I believe, tomorrow. But let's first hear from Moses Itauma talking about just that, dealing with the pressure of potentially being the next big thing at age 20.
Pressure is always a thing, but pressure is a privilege. Pressure allows you to show you your mettle. So I use this moment to kind of use it to my advantage. And I'm 20 years old, but I try not to think like a 20-year-old. I'm trying to think like as if I'm where my competition's at. You know what I mean? Because I don't ever want to use my age as an excuse. I didn't beat him because I was 20 years old. No, you didn't beat him because you wasn't good enough. I don't want to use that excuse. So, Dillian Whyte, big fight. And it's if I knock him out, it's going to be a big statement.
No doubt about it. I also asked him about this crazy fact. Like 10 years ago, he's in like the 4th grade watching this current heavyweight era kick off with the likes of Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, all fighting for their first world title around that time. 10 years later, he's on the verge of potentially fighting most of those names if he gets that opportunity, right? How does he deal with that fact, fighting his boyhood heroes? Here's Itauma. You're coming in at the end of what I think is one of the most fun, one of the greatest heavyweight eras of all time. You've got guys like Fury, Joshua, Wilder, Parker, Usyk, all at or around age 40. When they first came on the scene and came on top, you were in like, what, 4th or 5th grade? How weird is it that you literally could end up fighting all of those guys or a bunch of those guys, and it could be in stadium title fights? Do you pinch yourself? Is that crazy to you?
Yes and no. I don't know how the grade system works in America. Obviously, in England, we have years. But I remember when Anthony Joshua, when he boxed Dillian Whyte, I was 10 years old. And now I'm boxing Dillian Whyte. Do you get what I mean? But, you know, people don't really give me credit because, like, boxing Dillian Whyte is a big thing. If Dillian Whyte was to box Joseph Parker, that's a big thing. If Dillian Whyte was to have a rematch with Anthony Joshua, that's selling out O2, maybe even more. I'm fighting Dillian Whyte at 20 years old, and people ain't giving me like no credit for that. People are matter of fact saying I'm gonna knock him out in inside whatever rounds. But it's funny because the same people that think that I'm going to knock Dillian Whyte out, saying I'm not ready for Usyk's, Parker's, them type of names, but then they don't think that them type of names will knock out Dillian Whyte in 2 rounds. So it's like it's a cycle of.
So look, he went the distance twice in 6-round fights, as I said. All 10 of his other fights have not made it out of the 2nd round. Itauma, promoted by Frank Warren, who had a quote that said, Moses can be the flag bearer for British sport internationally, not just as a boxer, but I think he can be a cultural icon internationally. When you think about people like Tiger Woods or LeBron James, he is one of those guys, end quote. Luke, you just heard how mature and sophisticated he seems to be. He's got his head on straight. His trainer, Ben Davison, will not stop talking about his ability to listen and how mature he is. Do you think these comparisons from Frank Warren are fair? Standard promoter hype, or are you getting the feeling too that even though we don't have all the answers to how good he is, that there's something truly special there?
I mean, in the end, LeBron had a lot of hype coming out of high school, but it's because he was doing incredible things. He did incredible things from his first game in the NBA onwards. And Tiger Woods was doing incredible things as a young phenom. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is they didn't really become LeBron James. They didn't really become Tiger Woods until they had something in their back pocket to show that, like, this is what the hype meant, to crystallize it. And to this point, we don't really have that. So, like, is it a little premature now to say that? Certainly it could backfire if Itauma goes out there and gets wiped out by Dillian Whyte or something like that. But I think I would say this, BC, if there's anybody I've seen in boxing as a candidate to do something like that, I mean, LeBron's obviously something kind of special, and so is Tiger, right? So, I mean, you know, it's still an exaggeration. It's still an exaggeration no matter what. But I guess I would just say is you just don't have a lot of prospects in boxing, irrespective of weight class at 20, who you feel like can move as fast to the top as this guy can. You know, everything else is very incremental. And partly that's because heavyweight's a little bit more wide open, but the fact that he's just bulldozing his way into it so effortlessly is kind of speaking to that effect. I just want folks to say whether or not it's a Tiger Woods or it's a LeBron thing, you know, you can decide. But is there something seemingly special about him? I don't think that much is really up for debate.
Yeah, southpaw, huge hand speed. He said the only heavyweight that might have faster hands than him is Andy Ruiz, who certainly has fast hands reaching for the food lately. I hope Andy can get back in gear and still get a big fight. But dude, he offensively is just a different level of a heavyweight we've seen up to this point. Whyte's going to be a sturdy test, 3-0 since that 2022 knockout loss to Tyson Fury. And Luke, the interesting thing is Dillian Whyte's been KO'd 3 times, all on uppercuts. So we're going to see if that could be a punch Itauma can use. And finally here for Moses, if you're wondering what styles of which fighters he will followed growing up kind of came together to make the style that he brings out now, the list is fairly decorated. Let's listen. I read that you were a big fan of the great one, Prince Naseem Hamed, as a youngster. How much did he, in what ways, influence you as a boxer?
Like, I went through like spurs of fighters. Like, Naseem Hamed was the first fighter I loved watching. Then for like a long period of time, it was Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
And then it was Golovkin. And then for a long time, it became Lomachenko. Then Gervonta Davis and whatnot and blah, blah, blah. Then George Foreman was one for a long time also. I'm going to steal this from Mayweather. I don't want to be like a fighter. I want my own kind of style, my own identity. And my own identity is a mixture of all these fighters. There's fights where I've gone into them and, like, for example, the fight against me versus Marius Wack, people were saying that I look like the heavyweight Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
And then obviously when it comes to fights like Dempsey McKean or Mike Balogun, I think that's Moses Itauma style. Do you get what I mean? Like, just confusing them. Obviously, it didn't originate from me. There's nothing that I do that other people haven't done. It's just the fact that I managed to mix it in so well.
Look, we're gonna find out on Saturday. If this might be completely too much hype too early, but from what we've seen of him, it's super, super impressive. I can't wait to see it on Saturday.
I'm hyped. Again, yeah. I'm not really, to me, Saturday's result is not so much in question. I guess we'll see, but let's see what happens afterwards. Are they going to strap a rocket to this kid's back and make him do stuff before he's ready? I don't know. Or maybe he's ready. Who knows, you know? He's
a 10-1, as high as a 12-1 betting favorite against the durable Dillian Whyte. So we're going to see. And, you know, he said it himself to me. He said, look, I might not deserve Usyk next if I win this, because he mentioned that Joseph Parker and Ajit Kabayel have, you know, done some big things lately. But he said, it's not about what you deserve. It's about what you negotiate. So we'll see if Turkey picks him out of the group and puts him up there. We'll check it out. This podcast, this Morning Kombat episode, of course, is brought to you by Total Wireless, the official wireless partner of UFC. And whether you are streaming the fight or looking to send those takedown highlights to your boys, you need a wireless provider that keeps you close to the action. With Total Wireless, you're covered by the Verizon 5G network. So you don't have to worry about the connection being KO'd at the biggest moments. It's not something you can say about a wireless provider that they're in your corner. They got your back like Coach Latore, but Total Wireless does. So you never miss a thing. They keep you covered for just $25 a month with 4 lines, never sacrificing the essentials like speed. And with Total, you get unlimited 5G data so you can stay ahead of the action and keep up with every KO. Total Wireless also understands you can't have a surprise blow knock you out at the worst moment. So this price, guaranteed for 5 years, taxes and fees included. You already know that the best fighters don't get to the top alone. They've got that all-in support, and it shouldn't be any different when you're talking about wireless. We're talking about TotalWireless.com. Visit it today or visit your local Total Wireless store to learn more about how Total Wireless can be in your corner. 5G access requires a 5G capable device and a 5G service area. Monthly rate on the Total Base 5G Unlimited plan for new subscribers applies only to the monthly rate for your plan. Additional terms apply. See the website for more details. Time to get into our fan segment for this Monday, where every Sunday night at Morning Kombat on X and Instagram, we offer you an opportunity to get your questions answered and maybe hear a donkey ejac. This is called DMs from Donks. Very regrettable sound there. Let's hear from our first fan. What do you got for us, folks? This one's from tactical_athlete_motivation with Luke's comments about Fluffy potentially fighting for a title in 26 or 27. This is, of course, Anthony Hernandez. Do you think it might be expedited with the dominance of Dolidze, maybe early 26? Now, we hit that off the top, Luke, but you're telling me you would not be shocked if he fights the winner of Saturday's main event.
How can you look at what he did to Dolidze and be like, oh, it's inconceivable he would fight for a title soon? Like, obviously that now is very much brought into clear view. Like, he's one of these guys who can do it. So it's just a question of, again, the other part here, BC, part of why I was hesitant was I wasn't sure about his upside. And then the other one is, we talked about it earlier, he's not a great self-promoter. These things affect you. These things affect how you can get picked. But, BC, like, if they do another Noche card, where would he fit on that? You know what I mean? Like, there's ways in which he could fit in to a broader set of circumstances that he could get the nod. I just don't see how he doesn't fight for a title at some point. I really don't.
Do you like his tats?
The one on his I'd have to take a closer look. A bunch of them I don't. I don't like owls on the chest. I'm not a big owl chest guy. But
you're more of like chimpanzee on the chest? Tattoo on T?
You talk about Connor?
Yeah, I am talking about Connor. Yeah.
That's a gorilla. That's not a chimpanzee.
Sorry, Luke. Okay. I mean, where I come from, it's kind of close, similar, right?
Yeah. I mean, okay.
I mean, they're animals, Luke. Guess where I come from. All right. I mean, crocodile, alligator, same thing to me. Okay. Really?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's it.
Okay. There you go. Second one here is from Pat McCann, 34, echoing my thoughts exactly. Luke, has middleweight become a top 3 UFC division with the young talent coming through?
Top 3, I don't know, because what do you got? You got 45, 55.
I like 55 and 70 as the 2 best.
Yeah, and then I would put 70. Yeah, 145 to 170, I think, is the sweet spot.
But bantamweight still kind of rules, right?
Bantamweight is also bantamweight. You could throw bantamweight in there as well. So, like, to me, it's 35 to 85 is obviously where MMA is great. Everything after that is just.
Long Island Luke, what do you got for top 3?
I was just looking, and I want to be like, featherweight's kind of stagnant right now. Or sorry, bantamweight's kind of stagnant
big
right
names
now.
there, but stagnant's a strong word.
Bantamweight, I stand corrected, because you got Merab taking on Corey, but then like Merab's beat everyone after that, and it's kind of just like, it's all the same guys.
Yeah. It's a really bad division: heavyweight, women's bantamweight, women's featherweight, women's strawweight these days, light heavyweight. There you go. Third one's from short_fluke. Which iteration of UFC's hundreds do you think will be the last you cover? Okay, so they're talking about these sort of anniversary big number cards like UFC 100 or 200. Which one will be the last that we each cover as media? 400, 500, 600, or 1,000?
I mean, definitely not 1,000. You can write that one off.
But these come on pretty quick with 13 a year, don't they?
Not that quickly.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
guess not
UFC
that quick.
100 was
Sorry, I'm wrong.
2009. UFC 200 was 2016. UFC 300 was 2024, right? Am I
Okay,
getting, no.
so-
When was UFC? I'm sorry. When was UFC 200?
That was about a year or two ago. 24, April of 24.
No.
17, I wanna
200.
say.
200.
Oh, 200 was July of 16.
Yeah. So you have 2009,
Yeah.
2016, then 2024 was 3. Yeah. I mean, it might be a while. I mean, for 4, I'll probably be there. I don't know after that. I don't know after that.
Okay,
you know?
what will you be doing at UFC 500? Watching from home. Luke Thomas gets political, or maybe Luke runs for local office by that point.
Yeah. Luke Thomas runs for office and loses, and then just moves to a cabin in the woods, never to be
Dude.
seen again.
You should be full John Fetterman when you do run for office, and just like wear like sweats and just crop dust to everybody as you walk by and stuff. That'd be great.
Just look like a useless ogre everywhere I go.
Yes, that's great. That guy's an American hero in so many ways. Although I don't even know about his politics. You support that man's politics, Luke?
No, he got brain damage and then turned into a fucking idiot. So I don't like
Okay,
him
here
at
we
all.
go. There's a little preview of Luke Thomas getting political. Our next one's from an MVP in these parts, Flannels and Jits, a jiu-jitsu himself. What inspired you to start covering MMA and boxing? Was there a particular fight or event that made you fall in love with the sport as a fan?
Like I said, I grew up watching it in the late 90s. I didn't catch it early, mid to late 90s. I caught up with it, kind of fell out a little bit during college, and then picked it back up right after that, and then moved back to DC and started training. And then that just set off a revolution in my life. I said,
Yeah.
my life has never been the same since.
I had very early boxing fandom from the Rocky movies through a very important fight, which was Sugar Ray Leonard against Marvin Hagler in '87. That my dad, not a sports fan, bought the pay-per-view, had a party at in my grandparents' basement, invited all his friends from work, so I got to feel at the age of like 7 or 8 that big fight feel and see a contentious decision that people were debating. But, I came in and out as a fan for years. I think, I don't know. I always say it was me putting on the gloves and the headgear and sparring regularly in 2004 that reactivated a hardcore thing that led me less than a decade later to writing about boxing on a full-time level or not a full-time level at that point, but on a large level at ESPN. So I'm totally going to credit that path. UFC, like you, Luke, I was watching on the legal cable boxes, the early pay-per-views like UFC 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. I didn't ever thought I'd be a MMA media member, but here we are. You never know.
Life takes funny turns.
Yeah. Why are we covering it? Because it's our passion. This is our life. This is the spirit we bring to the show.
That's right. I can't believe that has to be explained, but there you go.
Number 5, our last one from probably Brian, who spells it like a Y, which is just absurd. Who are your top 3 musical artists to listen to? Let's say in general, like of this modern era, who are your top 3 artists? Dude?
I can only say who I'm listening to in rotation now. How about that?
Okay.
The new Clips album is unbelievably good. I can't believe how good that album is. It's so slick and well produced. So there's that. I'm going to say Harm's Way is kind of like this sort of like hardcore band that I found that I really like. Throw in a little Trapped Under Ice is another one that I like a lot too. And then what's a third one? You know what? I've been digging back into the crates, BC. I've mentioned this many times on MK, but it just never seems to go out of style. Cameron. I'm a big Cameron guy, dude. I mean, there's so many hits that have so many gems in the lyrics. That's where I'm at these days.
All right. I'm listening to Bright Eyes obsessively again. I was a big fan 20 years ago. Now I can't get out. I'm massive on Deep Purple. I'm deep diving from start to finish. They change their lineup every 3 years. It's wild and aggressive. I love it. And I would say, I'm a massive Traffic fan with Steve Winwood, Luke. I live in the 60s and 70s in my basement. So those are maybe Joe Walsh and the James Gang as well has been a big part of my life lately. But I'm all over the place. I got genres coming out of genres, but these are the lives we live. We love music. Music is my life, Luke. Okay.
It's your passion.
It's my passion. Thank you very much. All right. That's our DMs from Donks. A reminder that you can reach out to our program at morningcombat@gmail.com. We won't have fan subs or dead wrongs this week, but you people have been on fire with the fan subs. So keep up the great work. We'll be back with those next week. don't show Mikey your butthole. Thank you. All right.
Show him your cock and balls.
We got one more segment for you. And I mean, it's fan friggin' tastic because every Sunday I scour the globe for the highs and lows, the good, the bad, the ugly from the worlds of combat sports and beyond. This one's called BC's Feces. Luke, would you say I've been on a run lately or what? Are we stagnant? Where are we at?
You know, you're above UFC Apex, but you're not pay-per-view.
All right, let's see what grade you'll give me today. Weekend combat roundup time. Angela Hill had a moment at the weigh-ins, Luke. Let's watch this. I mean, she's trolling, but this is interesting, Luke. What do you make of it?
Handing it to the old white guy. He probably sniffed those things.
Pulling those fake little bra implants out and then acting embarrassed. She's a treasure, even though she lost.
Yeah, she lost, but you know what? A unique personality in the sport, to be sure.
And that was a fun little action fight. And she's 40 years old. She's gonna redefine longevity in the female game, right?
For sure. Already has.
Yeah, Holly Holm as well. Although she's getting back into boxing now. BKFC Edmonton happened, and check out this weigh-in between people named Santiago and Stuve.
What a good time we're going to have tomorrow. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, the fireworks and getting these two apart. It looks a lot trickier than it is in the middleweight division. Drew Stuvey and Will Santiago. This looks like a fight you do not want to miss.
Now, we did miss it, but did that make
Jerry?
Yeah, you're right. It does have those vibes. Did that make you want to watch the fight or no?
No. I have a family.
All right. Let's go to Chinese regional MMA where, anything can happen. Luke, watch this gentleman try to celebrate a win. What do you think is going to happen here?
Okay.
Oh, boy.
All right, guys.
All right.
All right, guys. Don't concuss yourself in a sport where you get concussed. Please. Please listen to me.
Luke, remember on Saved by the Bell where they had that recurring bit where Screech would be like in the locker and then they'd open the door and he'd say something funny and they'd close it?
Mm-hmm.
They do that in the UFC now. Watch. Your thoughts?
I'm not 5. How is that funny?
Okay. All right.
Here's question. If you're not 5, how is that funny?
I don't know, Luke. I don't know. I used to be certified with a jack in a factory and a forklift. Watch this fella get all jacked up. He's moving big product.
All right. He's got the little.
Oh my God. Oh God. Wow.
Yo.
Yeah.
Where's OSHA? Jesus.
Wow.
That was awesome.
Luke, would you say Babe Ruth still has an argument to be baseball's GOAT, or did Barry Bonds eclipse him?
Yeah, I think.
Or maybe Shohei Ohtani.
Shohei's on his way too. Yeah.
Let's check out this Babe Ruth moment.
Now batting number 3, Babe Ruth. Here's the pitch. Strike 1.
Whoa, Blue. Whoa. Why is the pitcher black?
I mean, that's just, it's a fair recreation if Babe Ruth had played in modern times, right?
He would be asking questions,
Yes, he would. All right. Well, speaking of baseball, it's time to head out to the old ball game. Watch this Indians fan try to catch a home run.
Okay, he gets halfway through, then douses that lady. Yeah, take that, bitch.
Yeah. Do you think that's his significant other or just some broad, Luke?
Just some broad. He's just pouring.
Right.
Take that.
Yankees had Old Timers Day over the weekend where Mariano Rivera tore his ACL, but we also found a new mythical creature called Wash Johnny Damon. Luke, tell me about that.
Is that Johnny Damon?
It really is, bro.
No.
Literally unrecognizable.
Dude, why is his face the size of the moon?
It's the size of my head. I mean, it's insane. Yeah.
Dude, I'm not even kidding. It looks like someone put a rubber mask on a pumpkin.
He's eating good, Luke, with that caveman hair. That's insane.
I mean, after going to Portugal and then the beach, I've been eating like it's going out of style too, so I can hardly talk. But He's if you had told me that's Johnny Damon, I would not have that's a real fat man right there.
Yeah, I hope he's not sick, and now I'll have to feel bad for showing that, Luke. But
fuck him.
I once went to when I was a high school sports reporter for a newspaper. I once had a game in Stamford, but then it rained out, so I just kept driving to the Mets game. I bought a 6-pack and drank it on the way, and then I went to a game alone, moved my seat around, spent $200 on food, and then got ejected for talking about Jose Mesa's mother while he was warming up in the bullpen, and he gave me the blowjob sign to try to, and then he called on the bullpen phone security to remove me. That reminded me of this clip with Pirates Tommy Pham. Yeah, take that, fans, right?
That's how we greet each other in the Thomas household. Make no mistake.
I mean, look, is that lame at age 22 to go to a game alone and get loaded?
The part where you admitted on camera just now to drinking and driving was a little
Well, I mean,
much.
like when I got to the parking lot. Yeah,
right. Not on the way for sure.
I mean, who would do that in 2001? I mean, that'd be so awful. Luke, let's go to we unlocked a new comic book hero for you. His name, Volcanus.
He strikes with living lava. Yeah, this is me after Taco Bell.
Yeah, that is.
Or is he just shitting blood? We don't know.
That could be just like you right there. Let's go over to New York City. They got construction. Check out this sign.
Cock. And balls.
I mean, you don't hate that, right? Come on.
New York is the best. I fucking love New York.
Luke, would you say the worst place to be is anywhere near NFL fans?
Yes. I mean, and you go to an NFL game, you're white trash. I'm sorry.
All right. Check out this fight between a Ravens fan and two Commanders fans.
So I actually have a story about this. This is an old one. This was after the Commanders. Yeah, this is after the Commanders. So this dude in the Ravens jersey, they found him.
Oh, wow.
And he was charged with multiple crimes for doing this. Would it surprise you, BC, that he ended up being a finance bro and a trust fund kid? Would that surprise you?
Was he part of this WNBA dildo crypto scam or what, Luke?
Yeah, he looks like he would be the first guy at the front lines of an WNBA dildo crypto scam. But he got his. The law enforcement got him. So shouts to that piece of shit.
All right. Would you hang out with these New England Patriot fans by any chance?
I'll make an exception in their case.
That guy in the tie-dye. That's incredible.
Yeah, I'll make an exception. Dude, I like how they didn't even bring like a pen. They just brought pure flour and then jerry-rigged the Michelob Ultra bottle to get it done.
I have done that in the upper deck of Yankee Stadium before. I mean,
have you really?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
I've brought the pen to the stadium before, but I've never brought flour. Never.
Okay. We're different people, Luke. Let's go to Cowboys wide receiver. Here's an NFL bonus clip. CD Lamb. Watch out for that referee, bro.
CD Lamb.
Okay. Well, yeah, see, turn off the lamp now, Luke. Lights out. Wow, that is fantastic right there. I don't really watch much NFL these days. Okay. Luke, Suffolk County.
He's only one of the stars of the NFL, but okay.
Luke, Suffolk County of New York is getting excited about USA's 250th celebration come this July 4th. This was actually a press conference. Listen in.
This is my county, by the way.
It's going to be a gangbang like you have never seen. We're going to send off the rockets. We're going to enjoy our independence. Thank you.
Hell yeah, brother. Hey, hey, Long Island Luke, you going to go to the gangbang?
Yeah, me and Frivolo will both be there. It'll be fun.
Did he sound like Bob Arab? Never screwed so many women in my life.
Never screwed so many broads in all my life.
It was a 2-day orgy. It was great stuff. All right. What else we got here? Let's go down to, hey, the Hulk Hogan tributes continue. Did you see the day of his funeral that the clouds looked like it was doing the Hogan pose? You didn't see that?
Once again, I'm not 5.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, here's the Hard Rock Cafe paying tribute to Hulk Hogan.
Hard R. Okay, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
That's
okay.
pretty good.
Hey,
got a good little pop from me. There you go.
Time for your KOs of the week. NASCAR's Connor Zilisch KO'd himself and broke his collarbone after winning an Xfinity Series race. I've never seen anything like this before, Luke.
Oh my God. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's right. Maybe they should get NASCAR doors that open. How about that, guys? Okay, why are we doing Dukes of Hazzard style?
Dude, did he tear his knee? Go show it one more time. Did he tear his knee too?
He broke his collarbone and was knocked out.
Okay, so watch it. Oh, he slips there, by the way. He slips on that rubber already. And then sure enough, slips again. Whoop!
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, and I'm not trying to hate, but he did the Tua Tagovailoa fencing bit, you know?
Yeah. And he's
This
supposed
was
to be like
live.
a
This
really
was live
good
on the
young driver.
broadcast too. So the commentators were like awkwardly like, "Oh, just cut away from it."
Let's go to commercial. Yeah. All right. Luke, watch this motorcycle dispute. Excuse me. It looks like South America, but it gets wild.
Oye, y no te pase conmigo. ¿Qué tú dijiste allí? Dame la llave. Está pasando gracias.
Dude, that guy came back to life. Did you see that shit? Wow.
Somebody had to get it though. It was like he just hit the guy with the crutches. Somebody's gonna get it. That's insane.
All right, good news this week. Do you remember former Morning Combat social media engineer Brendan Lynch?
Of course.
He's like a poor man's Gordon, but he's like ripped as shit. He got his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt this weekend in Los Angeles. Look at that handsome tan fellow. And in the comments congratulating was not only Christian DeGiro of amateur MMA fame, but AC Slater. And here's a picture of Mario Lopez and the aforementioned Brendan Lynch. Hey, shout out to that fellow, right, Luke?
Amazing. I think he was like a blue or purple belt when he worked with us. So he flew up the ranks. Good for him, man.
I hope he gets chicks too. I mean, that guy, wow, well done, Lynch.
Why don't you go have sex with him and Brett Okamoto? You
Well,
desperately
Luke,
wish that
you
want to be in the human centipede between the Okamotos and the Lynches.
Well, currently I'm the meat in a Saul family sandwich, but I'm also married, Luke, please. Okay, there you go. All right, thank you. Luke, let's honor Honest Abe, maybe my favorite president, Abraham Lincoln. You a big fan of him?
I don't give a fuck.
Okay, well, here's an impression of him.
This is my impression of Abraham Lincoln carrying 2 very full cups of water. Or wait, hold on, stop, wait. Sorry.
Oh, that was good. Come on, right? That's
Not
good.
bad. Not bad.
I don't know where he ranks in your favorite president countdown, but here's somebody who's ranking Lincoln just the same.
Ranking every U.S. president by how much I want to go to the theater with them. Coming in at last place, we have Abraham Lincoln.
That guy gets me every time. Apparently I'm alone. All right, clothing items of the week. Here's the best t-shirt I can find.
I may not go down in history, but I'll go down on your. Okay, geez.
Okay.
Fucking
Here's the runner-up, Luke. What do you like this better?
war bad, boobs good. Yeah, I mean, this is a platform I think we can all get behind,
Okay.
right?
Yep. And here's your hat of the week, which of course is honoring 2001, Luke.
I must be an 18-year-old in 2001 the way I'm ready to die for Bush.
Luke, speaking of the good old days, do you ever think about like acquiring old toys that you played with in the 80s and being like, Tukey, this is what we used to have? You know what I mean?
Sort of, but I mean, it's hard to do that with a little girl, but yeah.
All right. Do you remember Viewmasters that you put them on your
Yes.
eyes and you put in the
Yes.
thing? You
Yes.
got to get these for Tukey, Luke.
Crime scene photos.
Well, you know, I mean, that's aggressive. Luke.
Faces of death.
Okay. Okay. Do we have one more? I don't know. Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. All right. All right.
All right. All right.
All right. Speaking of never forgetting, Luke, check out this tribute tattoo. This is not a joke. This is a real thing. Are you for it or against it?
I'm against that. That is a shit tattoo if ever there was one.
All right. I mean, do you think people can honor 9/11 or is it always have to be
Yes,
like...
I mean, it's possible to honor that.
All right, check out
as a
this Japanese
memorial.
restaurant. They are honoring 9/11 here on the sushi menu, of course, with the, if we can zoom in a little more. Oh, the Twin Tower roll, Luke. You into that?
What was on it?
Can we see one more time here? Long
Is there a
Island?
way to pause it? I don't know if there's a way to pause it.
There's not a way to pause it. It said shrimp tempura.
An
I
eel.
couldn't get the eel. All right.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
I mean,
okay.
I'd eat it. I'd eat it.
Speaking of food tributes for 9/11, Luke, check out this pancake place.
I took down the towers in under. Okay, in under.
I mean, that's aggressive there. I don't support
Dude, there
that
was a
at all.
debate raging on Twitter, like political Twitter, like a month ago, and one person was arguing, like, guys, I don't know if you know this, but like 9/11 humor is everywhere, and everyone in the comments was like, that's absolutely not true, and I'm like, I know for a fact it's true. I couldn't believe that there were people like aggressively saying that it wasn't true.
Yeah, I don't understand it at all, to be honest. All right, let's go to this guy's wedding here. Watch The Best Man, Luke. He's the large.
We saw this
fella.
one. We saw this one. Yeah, this is a rerun. His pants fall down.
Oh God! See, now I'm getting caught in the
Yeah, see?
reruns. All right, it was a good
just
moment
pick them
there.
pants up, fella.
Finally, Luke, we know that you're like the late Kobe Bryant. You are a hashtag girl dad. You ever just race Tukes, just for fun?
Sure.
Okay, watch this dad. He's a great dad here.
Come on, Lane. What happened?
Wow, Luke, that's all the shit I can handle this week. All right.
Well, he's gonna be.
I mean, come on, that's a B
paralyzed.
plus. That's a B plus with my
That's B
with
plus.
my shoe
That's B
polish.
plus. Yeah, that's
All
B
right.
plus. I'll give you that.
There we go.
For sure.
All right, one more reminder, folks. Morning Combat's August exclusive merchandise available right now exclusively at morningcombat.shop until the end of the month or until they last. You can get the Morning Combat Beavis and Butthead t-shirt. The vaping is for closers. And how about the autographed Super Wash Dads posters with BC and LT's signature on there? We have less than 5 to go to get those off the shelves and get ready for next month. Also, we've got some evergreen items. You can get hats. You can get a lot of things. And most importantly, folks, in this era of MK merch, you can change the colors on the t-shirts to match your personality. Check it all out at morningcombat.shop. Great shit right there. Luke, anything else you want to tell these fine people?
See y'all Thursday.
Yeah, pregame preview, UFC 319, 11 a.m. Eastern time on YouTube this Thursday, live from Manhattan. UFC lightweight Matt Frivola joining us. You can like and subscribe, by the way, if you haven't, please. This does help the show go a long way. We'll see what the Paramount era of UFC looks like, but we're going to be there along the ride with you. You can check out our extended channels. And Luke of the Long Island fame, like, are you pretty fired up for Frivola this Thursday or what?
I'm pretty fired up for that. I'm even more fired up for UFC 319 and Contender Series starts tomorrow. I'll be doing a watch along for that if anyone wants to tune in. So shout out to Contender Series.
LT, your thoughts on his boyfriending?
He's the worst boyfriend I've ever seen.
Okay. I mean, War Machine wasn't great, to be fair. You know what I mean? Yeah. Ray Caruth, not a good boyfriend, right?
Not a great boyfriend.
There you go. All right. For Long Island Luke and LT on BC, thank you very much for joining us. Luke Thomas, do you have any special 319 content this week for the people?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be doing a watch along for the full thing, the full main card on Saturday. I'll have, I think I'm working on there's a lot of shit going on now, but working on a bit of a breakdown for that. I'll definitely have one after the fight. So yeah, stay tuned. A lot of stuff coming your way.
If they ever asked you nicely, would you attend Just Bleed Radio?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Shout out to Lady
Closed mouth don't get fed, though,
Danger Mouse and David Sandine of Expensive Women fame. All right. That's all we got. We love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Take care of it up here. That's it. The end of the show. See you later.